going on, man?
What's up?
How's it going?
It's going well. It's going well. New time. Thank you, everybody, for...
No, you will not be... Nope.
Oh.
Tonight is a little bit different, guys. We're reversing roles. I'm going to lead the chart. Did you hear that, Christina? He tried to do his little thing where he leads us off. No. The only thing that's the same tonight is that I have a Truly. Let's start off with meal days. Oh, what do we got?
It's just an orange drink.
Oh.
Looks like a malt beer, though.
I thought you were going to try to play my character, because I'm in your character, so let's see how this goes.
That would have been funny. We should have done that.
We are. What do you mean we should have? We are doing it.
No, gotten you drunk is what we should have done, is what I'm saying.
Oh, no, you don't want that.
All right, let's start off with mail days. You got any mail days?
I do. I have 2 mail days.
All right.
Actually, I have 3. Let's do 3. Okay, so start off with this. Little light Christian McCaffrey, 2018 Obsidian, second year, 1 of 1.
Of course.
So we'll just start with that. This was sewed into my collection by Larry Goats and Grails. This is a 2017 PSA 10 Camo Prism Christian McCaffrey rookie PSA 10 jersey number 22 of 25. So thank you, Larry Goats and Grails. I got this back recently from PSA. This is a reslab of the 2019 select die cut premier level Patrick Mahomes PSA 9. So had a couple of cards come in this week that I was pretty happy about.
Very good. Well, the 22 of 25 is basically a 1-on-1, right? If it's an eBay listing, that's a 1-on-1.
I think so. I think that's how that works.
All right, guys. Today's Friday, November 12th. Crossover. Welcome back to the show. We are doing it a little bit different tonight. We reversed roles. Chris didn't have time leading up to the show to prepare, so I said I'll take it, and we said, you know what? Let's just reverse it completely and just look how prepared I am, dude.
Oh wow! All right.
So you guys got to vote who does the top better and who does the bottom better, and who leads the show better. We're gonna find out.
Yeah, I caught that very good as well, TMC. I caught that as well.
All right.
I'm already off to a bad start. I've never printed off the questions, so.
And you tried to lead the show off. That was a big mistake. Don't do that. Good. Okay. Good. Okay. Okay. Good. All right. Let's get started. First question. Mike Peterson, 50. Gary Vee and Zuckerberg interview. Mark said he was a big baseball card collector when he was a kid. They talked a bit about cards, and guess what? I have the clip ready because it's amazing. Ready?
Let's see it.
Have you own any NFTs? Have you thought about buying any? Like, I feel like you're going more platforms. Obviously, you as the executive is platform side metaverse. That makes so much sense. It's kind of like leapfrogging. I understand that whole, especially the hardware software dynamic that I think you've been through the last 15 years. Makes all the sense to me in the world. How about you, the human being? Were you a collector? Were you a comic book? Did you collect as a kid?
I was pretty into baseball cards.
Oh!
So I had that, maybe a few comic books, but more for entertainment than collection. The baseball cards, it was really, especially in baseball, I think it's really like the nerds game.
Yeah, it's math. You're a nerd, Mark.
It's so
I get it. You wrote that math shit, Mark. Let's call it spade a spade. But have you jumped into NFT land yet?
Yeah, well, look, I try to use all this stuff, right? And so...
By the way, real quick, I'm starting to...
And the answer is no. Okay, initial reaction to that. I mean, the rest of the video, they're talking about the context there. They're talking about Meta, the new Facebook thing, the transition from Facebook into the metaverse, and Gary had him on to talk about it, and clearly he was hoping to make some sort of connection to NFTs and in the world that those guys are living in. But Mark seemed to think a little bit differently about it. So, what's your take?
Well, I like how he asked Mark as a human being. What do you think? Because maybe as a robot or a cyborg, he would have given a different answer. But as a human being, Mark likes to collect baseball cards. And, or at least he used to as a kid. And I don't think that's the answer that was being sought. I think the answer, hopefully, was going to be something about, yeah, NFTs are the new collectibles, and this is a very exciting space, and this is part of the inspiration for Facebook's transformation it's undergoing, that there was a hope that that was going to happen. But instead, Mark just took the question very literally and very seriously and just said, well, you know, back in the day, I collected baseball cards and comics a little bit and just mostly for entertainment, and I like baseball. But that train was never really able to get on the tracks because Gary I don't think that's the answer that he was seeking at that time.
Well, and I think it's interesting because, you know, a lot of people are seeing this meta world, meta universe as being sort of like the place in which these NFTs are the currency, and the actual literal person who is building the metaverse doesn't think so. So interesting point there. As much as it's being forced on our throats and our faces, you know, not everyone likes it, and so even the founders of the metaverse companies. Next question. Did you have anything else to say about it? I don't want to spend too much time on this topic.
No, that's good. That's it. You know, some people are very excited that Mark Zuckerberg mentioned baseball as something that he once collected or whatever. I think we kind of got to pump the brakes on that a little bit.
No, yeah. Yeah, the question is like, oh, is the market going to go up because Mark said the baseball card? No.
Right, no, I don't think so. Right.
Hopefully we've learned by now that's not how this works. All right, Max Mania 8 card says, have you checked out Spalding Fasteners listings? All of them could be fake. Everything listed at 3K, very high-end stuff. So if you guys didn't see, there was a really high feedback account on eBay. I think it had like 20,000, you know, 5-star feedback reviews, and they were listing a bunch of awesome cards with pictures that were clearly stolen. Some of them had Probstein, you know, pictures. Some of them were different lighting and everything. All different pictures, clearly fake. And you know, people are trying to figure out: has this account been like hacked by this person, and then they automated these listings? Did you see that? What did you think?
Yeah, I saw that. It's terrifying. Had a number of people say, "What the hell's going on? This is my card. Like this is not good at all." You know, a buddy of mine's Brian, Cajun Cards on Instagram. His Gary Payton PMG Red was listed for sale, and he's like, "This is in my vault account right now. Like, what? This is awful. I don't like this at all." And that's a very fair reaction. And you know, it's totally incumbent on the marketplace to make sure that doesn't happen, and to act swiftly and remove it immediately. And I think that more or less did happen. I think that account got pulled down pretty quickly, but that's a really scary thing. And a lot of, you know, people could get sucked into that scam, especially that account had like 250,000 feedback score. 250,000, you know.
250,000.
So that's a scary thing. And glad all those listings have already come down.
Yeah, I know some people were upset that it didn't happen quicker, you know, but eBay's a gigantic company, and all they get, you know, tens of thousands of listings a day. They're not able to just react incredibly that quick, but they did get it taken down. I would guess that like 500 hobbyists reported that account because we all kind of swiftly jumped into it at once. There was a lot of stories posted, so a lot was done there. Yeah. Anything else? Just hopefully this doesn't happen again. It happened a couple weeks ago. Honestly, the same cards a couple weeks ago. I don't know if you noticed that.
Yeah, I know. Well, I guess maybe we could give some thoughts about how to react if one of your cards shows up on that account, and what are the basic ways that kind of you go about, because eBay has a reporting function, and you don't have to stop there. You can get on the phone. You know, you can place a call to eBay, and you can even send some strongly worded emails to hopefully, you know, advance the cause more quickly. But what do you say to somebody if their card shows up on one of these scam accounts, and it just could be very stressful and frustrating?
Yeah, because these cards are, you know, for a lot of us, the cards that we have in our possession aren't just like items that we buy and sell and trade. You know, if it was like a card that you're flipping and you saw someone else, you're just not as going to react as much as like, this is a collector card that I've owned. It's in my vault account. I have no plans of moving this. This sucks, you know?
You know, it reminds me of, it's going to reflect how petty I am, but in one of the Michael Jordan Facebook groups about a year ago, somebody posted a card that I now own. They posted it when they owned it, and they were like, "Oh, I once owned this card, and I've owned this card for over 2.5 years." And I went right to the comments, and I was just like, "Whoa, bro, my card, back off!" Like, I was upset that somebody who once owned this card, you know, I just had like a visceral reaction. I was like, "Whoa, dude, don't try to flex with this card. You don't own this card." I own this card. Like, chill out, you know. I don't like this. Like, once the card's mine, don't post it like it's yours. You know, that's that. I had a very visceral reaction, then I mellowed out, and I was like, who cares? Guy wants to own the card, great. But I imagine the feeling is 10 times worse when it's somebody trying to sell your card as a scam and you know it's yours.
Yeah. All right, moving on. We do have some news in the card letter world that I'm gonna jump into for a sec. So this week we launched new indexes. As you know, we already currently have player indexes, and did we do this last week? I can't remember. It was more of a sneak peek, right?
Yeah, it's just a sneak peek because the feature wasn't live yet.
So now we're live. It's on the app and it's on the website. So check it out. You know, we've got the main 8 sports, and I was seeing a lot of discussion today around, and we'll get to that, and I have a question written down about it, but like the discussion around high end versus low end and how the two are performing in the market. And I think it would be really cool if we could make an index for high end and low end. I don't know if that should be broken down by category or just like an overall high end, low end, just to see what it looks like. But this will probably expand into a lot more indexes. And so it kind of is interesting to see what people on social media are talking about and where we can take this next.
That's interesting. So what would the cutoff be for like the high end versus the low end?
Well, this is the point in the show when I tell you, if you're selling a card for over $5,000 and you're shipping it, use FedEx overnight, insured with adult signature, and please speak to your accountant. We're coming up on tax season here, so taxes must be done with cards. That's my PSA that I give every week. So I don't know, 5,000 seems right.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, that's 5,000 does sound like a good cutoff. And then so basically what we could do is just like any card that's worth $5,000 or more just goes into the high end index. And then low end, what would that mean?
I was thinking like 1,000 to 5,000 is, or maybe like 500 to 5,000 is mid end. We make 3, and then 500 under is low end or something, which sounds crazy, right? $500 is a lot of money, but that's where we are.
I remember a period not that long ago, 4 or 5 years ago, where $150 was like comfortably mid end to me. That was like a strong mid range card.
Yeah. In other news, I wanted to do a quick. Let me find it. Golden announced some exciting news today that I wanted to find, but it's not on their account, so let me go to Ken's. There it is. So Ken made a big announcement today. We were lucky enough to be at the dinner when he made the official announcement, you know, the first time, and now it's officially, the platform has been chosen. So it looks like Ken's new show is going to be on Netflix. So they announced that today. What do you think? Netflix.
Does it get any better than Netflix?
It does not.
I think that's incredible, and many congrats to Ken and the team, and to the hobby, honestly, because this show, in my estimation, is going to be fantastic for exposure to the sports card industry. So, big congrats all around, and man, Netflix, that's the place you want to have your show. So I think that's a home run.
Especially in the Netflix really does a great job on the sort of like niche content world of like, you know, documentaries that aren't necessarily mainstream, and they sort of make it mainstream. A lot of people were pointing out the chess documentary or mini series. Gosh, I'm blanking on the name, but I love that show. What's the chess one called? Chess. No. Queen's Gambit. And people were trying to parallelize this to Queen's Gambit for what it did to chess and like the, you know, 10x the Google searches overnight. I think it said like online chess players 5x after that show came out. And so, you know, the question is like, is this going to do similar things to the sports card market being on Netflix and having that platform? What do you think about that?
Could. It certainly could. This is a much needed potential catalyzing moments for the hobby. We haven't really had one in a while, where something big and bigger than the normal comes along and spikes an interest in sports cards for a whole new group of people. And I think this is one of the best shots at something like that happening. So prepare accordingly is what I would say. This show could absolutely put a spotlight on sports cards in a way that sports cards haven't really had a spotlight put on them in a while.
I think it also depends on how good the show is, or how engaging, they are from the Golden side, and how good the actual content is and the production value, which I'm sure it's going to be great. But just remember, Queen's Gambit was like #1 on Netflix, for a while, and I think it's won awards and stuff. It's an actual really, really good show.
Yeah.
So it's a really high bar to be able to like 5x something based on an award-winning show and something as highly touted as this. But I think this, the precedence is set, and the challenge has been put onto the Golden team to make something really exciting, and I think they will.
Yeah, definitely. Great point, though. The show has to be good, and that's not easy to do. It is never easy to make an engaging, mainstream piece of content. It's for the silver screen or the small screen, either one. That's really, really tough to do. I guess Queen's Gambit looks like it has a young lady as the star. Is that right? Yeah, that probably helps. We could use one of those.
She breaks into the all-male dominated chess competition ring.
Okay, so that's important. So there's an undercurrent running throughout the show of other themes besides just chess, and that's gonna have to carry the sports card show too.
Have you seen the show?
No, I have not seen it.
Oh, it's fantastic. You'll like it. You're a big brain guy.
Except when I'm watching TV, remember?
It's fantastic. Oh, it is. It's not really a thinker. I mean, I don't want to give anything away. It is very exciting. It's not just about chess. It's obviously there's a lot more going on.
All right, I'll give it
It's short. I think it's like a 9-episode, miniseries. It's not like a 4-season or. There's not much commitment. And they do like go all the way through it. So it's not like you have to, be left on the edge.
Nice.
Okay. Do we have any other like announcement type things that you got? Anything else in your mind?
Well, just we had a new Sports Cards Culture episode come out that kind of goes more into depth with our new 8 category indexes, and we had a lot of fun figuring out which of the 8 categories has seen the most growth versus the least growth since the pandemic began. So
yeah, we had a ton of fun.
a little teaser for that episode. Yeah. That's it though. That's all I got.
All right. Next question comes from South Park Cards 2. This one's an interesting question. Do you expect people in 30 years from now to care about baseball players from prior to 1950 outside of the handful of guys, Mantle, Willie Mays, stuff like that? Unfortunate truth, but the 50 to 70-year-old collectors will likely have passed by 2051. I can see Jackie Robinson sustaining value, but will enough people born in 2035 care about Honus Wagner or Mickey Mantle compared to people born in 1955?
Yeah. You and I had talked about this one a little bit. Yeah, I thought you had a really nice take on this one, which was kind of, do you want to give it or?
Well, I mean, he points out in the question even, will people in 35 care about Honus Wagner? Wasn't the Honus Wagner card from like 19 whatever? Like nobody that's collecting baseball cards today watched Honus Wagner or, like collected him as a kid or anything. So we've already got evidence to support like players who we didn't watch are collectible. And it's more about the history of the cards again than it is about the specific players as far as this example goes, because we're talking about 1952 tops. We're talking about Bowman cards from the 40s and 50s. These types of sets and cards are so iconic that you're always going to have people that want to collect them. And if you're going to be getting into baseball collecting, and you want to collect Acuna, Trout, Soto, eventually as you dig deeper into the hobby, you're going to want to figure out where did this all start. What players came before this, and a lot of people get into that. You've got basketball collectors today that collect Bill Russell and Wilt Chamberlain. Nobody our age ever saw those guys. So I think there's a lot of precedence there.
Yeah, I think so. And I think it's pretty important that those cards remain atop the hobby hierarchy as time goes on, because those are always the measuring stick. It doesn't make a lot of sense to prospect if the ultimate end goal of where that prospect ends up is not very desirable. Then it becomes this weird game of hot potato. That's why it's always comforting and important. And I think a lot of people instinctively feel this, that the card prices reflect history and legacy and where players rank. It's really important that they do that, because when that starts to fall out of sync, you know, all of a sudden, well, why is this prospect worth this much? This prospect is already worth more than the best possible player they could become. So why is that? You know, so I think it's actually important that our hobby continues and preserves its history and its hierarchy. And you know, our hobby loves firsts. You know, first this, first that, and not just our hobby, but collectibles love that. And Honus Wagner is, you know, for all intents and purposes, that the T206 Wagner is the first card of major significance. And so when collectors want to go look for that first big hobby piece, it's always going to be the Wagner. You can never take away that first aspect that the Wagner has.
Yeah, I think that's right. I mean, devil's advocate, you know, potentially, you know, taste can change. Oh, we lost Chris. I'll wait for him to come back. But, you know, there may be some taste shifts over time. It's just, you know, the history of the card collecting hobby is just a little bit too strong of a pull. I'm not sure that we'll see those things fade away. Let's see if we can get him back in. What the crap? All right, next question. I'm going to assume he's listening. Next question comes from In Cardboard Veritas. Is there a scenario where I'm not going to answer this question. This is all you, Chris, so fucking pay attention. where one, Steph continues to perform at an incredible level, wins another couple scoring titles, wins another MVP, wins a finals MVP, and two, LeBron continues to deal with nagging injuries, subpar team play, and he sort of limps to the all-time scoring record over the next few years. And Steph is remembered. And then he's saying, like, because of all that, is Steph going to be remembered roughly on par with LeBron, i.e. it becomes a debate, or is this impossible? And my question is flagrant.
Yeah, flagrant 2. Intentional flagrant. In Cardboard Veritas is definitely, I get the feeling, a Steph Curry fan and or maybe a collector. Look, I am one of the biggest admirers of Steph Curry that there is, but it's really difficult to have 0 finals MVPs and but still have those titles to your resume. That's always going to be a knock. That's just going to be really tough to put Curry on a par with the Jordans and LeBrons of the world. That's always going to be tough. But Curry has other things that make him really special and unique. Neither Jordan nor LeBron could ever even sniff the possibility of being, for example, the greatest shooter of all time. And Curry has that. You know, and Curry also has what the great super elite players have also had, which is periods of sustained dominance. But the finals MVP thing is always going to be a blemish. And, you know, Curry is just a different thing. It's just Curry. Okay, look, so maybe over the next 8 years, let's say, or 5 to 8 years, Curry it leads a whole new dynasty and racks up 3 more titles and gets 3 finals MVPs or something like that. And then now we start talking about Curry as in the Jordan and LeBron ranks. But right now it's nothing against Curry. That's what I don't want to say that this is anything taken away from Curry, but when you think about the sustained dominance of LeBron rattling off, I think 10 straight finals appearances or something close to that, maybe 10 and 11 or whatever it was. Or you think about the sustained dominance of 6 titles in 8 years for Jordan and the Bulls. And throughout those periods of sustained dominance, those guys were clearly the best player or one of the top few players, and then, you know, brought it home with finals MVPs every time they won the finals, and, absurd stat lines all the way through the finals. You're just talking about a slightly different class of player.
Yeah, I'll add 2 points and we'll move on. Even today, we're still sort of comparing the two guys, like which team has the upper hand right now, who's better. And also remember that LeBron has 6 years of seniority on Steph Curry. He's played for 6 seasons before Curry even came into the league. So he has 6 entire years to build up statistics and build up accolades. And I think he had an MVP by that point. And is Curry going to be this good 6 years from now in the same way that LeBron is good now? I'm not sure. That's going to be really tough.
That's going
And
to
the
be
other
super tough.
the other point I want to make is that Curry's never really been known as much of a defender, and I feel like if you want to be in the top 5, LeBron's not the best defender of all time, but he's had stretches where it's of the opinion that he might have been the best defender in the league at given stretches, especially during the Heat years when he kind of had to do it. And when he really has to do it, he can be a great defender. So the defense a little bit is lacking for me with Curry, so that I'll just kind of leave it at those two.
LeBron made 5 NBA all-defensive first teams, and one of his most iconic plays is the chase down block. Yeah, so that's a great point too. You do need both sides of the ball, but you know we're definitely entering into enough history in basketball where there are guys who just do things that are so unique. That maybe they're never considered the top 2 or 3 players, but they carve out a lane in a piece of sports history that probably will never be done again.
Yeah.
So it's just different. It's just there's something very special about a player like Curry that will be a part of sports history forever. And I do agree with the part that Curry's not done writing his place in the history books either. I mean, he's one of the top 5 players in the league right now, and that's pretty good. He's playing. He's on the team with the best record, although they do have the weakest strength of schedule to date. But he's playing at an MVP level. So
yeah.
I also just saw G enter the chat right as we were talking about Curry. Somehow he knew.
And Cardboard Veritas joined right when we started talking about it as well.
The Curry guys.
Curry has found a way to give himself an extremely strong following in the hobby because of the way he plays, and he's brought a lot of new fans into the NBA. It gives a lot of people the sort of average man hope of hey, I can be in the NBA if I'm only 6 feet, and as long as I can shoot, I can do some of these more dynamic things. I don't have to be 6'8", 250 pounds, full 4.4 speed, all muscle, right? You can still be one of the greats of the NBA and be an average size. So I think he's carved out a nice little piece of the hobby for himself in that regard. And obviously, he's going to break the freaking 3-point shooting record this year. It's he still has 5-6 years to go, and he's already going to break the 3-point record. It's insane.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's really tough measuring stick to put him in the same tier as Jordan and LeBron at this time, but don't let that take away from what a special player he is, and that we've never seen anyone like him.
Yeah, and also just enjoy it. Both of these guys still playing. It's really hard to find a moment in time when you've got guys that are both pushing to be top 5 and top 10, where Curry top 15, wherever you want to put him, top 20. It's pretty rare to have them both sort of at this point in their career at their peak. So just enjoy it. All right, let's move on. I don't know how much help we're going to be on this one, but this person insisted that I push on it, so we'll see where this goes. Hershey's _card says the Pele Alifa on Rally. There was an offer on Rally, and Golden sold a PSA 9 copy on the same day. So the PSA 9 that Rally has an open offer for $892,000 for a net price after fees and everything of $766 to the owners. And this is Rally's the fractional stuff. And then Golden announced that they sold a private copy for $900,000. So I think he's implying should they really take the offer given that it sold for more money on Golden on the same day? I think we're losing Chris, or is it me? I can't tell. It might be me.
Sorry about that, bud. We've been having storms out here today, and the internet at the house just went out, but now I'm on wireless.
It also might be me, so I'm just gonna move out here. Did you hear the question?
I did.
The one night that I'm the host of the show, he's purposely fucking it up. We can't hear you, bud. Yeah, he's like, he couldn't handle the, he's a little bit jealous that I'm in charge of the show tonight. You know, he's got to mess with his Wi-Fi router and all this crap. Nice try, man. Can you guys still hear me, though? He's still talking. Nobody can hear you, Chris. He's signing up for rally. I actually saw the copy that sold on Golden, and through Golden at least. Dude, you're... Yeah, it's definitely Chris. All right, well, while we wait for Chris to figure this out, I saw the copy that sold on Golden, and I guess like people were saying that it wasn't actually, it shouldn't have been a PSA 9, like the condition wasn't that great. But I don't know, that's just like, I just don't know enough about that card. It feels like a pretty comparable sale, and maybe the people on Rally should take it. Yeah, he's like still talking. All right, I'm gonna move on to the next question. Can I kick him out? All right, next question comes from Drake's_PC. Drake always has great questions. I think he has a few this week. He says, last week there was a discussion around whether to get a numerical grade or just get an authentic designation on cards. If you decide to slab a 101, is it better to get a numerical grade or an authentic designation? Would love to hear pros and cons. Yeah, we had this discussion last week. He's right. He's trying to join again. So he's talking about like, would you slab a 1 of 1 authentic? I still feel like I have the same answer as last week. Oh, gosh. Fine. I'm letting Christina in now. I still feel like I have the same answer as last week, where I still prefer the numeric grade. Like, get that the 101. The argument on the 101 side is like, would you slab it at all? I don't know that the discussion is like, would I slab it authentic or get grades? It's usually like on a 101, would I get it graded at all? So if you are going to get it graded, it's sort of the same answer for me. The question, Chris, was last week we talked about, would you rather have an authentic label or a low grade? And this week is like, what about a 1 of 1?
I think grade still matters on a 1 of 1. I think it still matters. Maybe it shouldn't, but when you're pursuing a 1 of 1, typically you're of the mindset you want the very best version of a card. And when you're in that mindset of wanting the best of the best, you're also going to prefer a perfect grade to a less than perfect grade, because having a better condition version, even of a 1 of 1, is better than an imperfect condition version. So I do think it's still worth grading 1 of 1s. I think the condition on 1 of 1s does matter. And I don't think it's a huge demerit against a 1 of 1 if it gets a poor grade. It's not as important as if a card with many copies gets a poor grade. In that case, it is very important. It's a distinguishing factor, but I think 1 of 1s still should be graded. I like to know the condition. I think slabs are cool. I like knowing what the grade is. I like knowing what it got assessed as. So I'm firmly in the camp of put a numerical grade on your 1 of 1s.
Yeah,
one-on-ones aren't as rare as they used to be anymore. Like there's a lot of one-on-ones, so I think you're right. I think it's important. Like a PSA 10 one-of-one to me is way more valuable than a non-PSA 10 one-of-one.
Yep.
The other question from Drake was, many people in the hobby are GOAT/Hall of Fame player collectors across many players and sports. How did you both decide to focus on a couple of specific players rather than being a team collector or collecting multiple Hall of Fame players?
Ooh.
Because I think he's kind of saying like a lot of people collect, if they're jumping into basketball, they'll collect Jordan, LeBron, Kobe. They'll kind of like grab a lot of those guys. And you see that a lot, especially at shows. A lot of dealers do that, obviously, but there's a lot of people that sort of collect a lot of players. And why have we focused on only a couple?
Yeah, I don't know. There's something nice about focusing on just one player and being able to, I don't know. It's everything I'm going to say is just kind of like an idiosyncrasy. I do prefer the consistency of collecting one player. I think it makes for a nice, tidy collection. And also like, this is going to be a little bit spicy, but I don't want to collect the second or the third or the fourth best player from an era. So I'll just leave that there.
Yeah. Also, I think collectors are, we're collectors, we're completionists, we're organized people. We like to kind of go deep on something and not necessarily, just touch a bunch of different areas. Like we want to be able to complete something and feel like we've gone as far as we can with one task. That's at least how I feel about it. Like I want to know that I have the best Penny Hardaway collection and not like, I've got one of all these different players. And you can't learn as much. I feel like you learn a lot more about the hobby, going all in on one player, because you can go, you can have a lot of depth on a player and you can know all the sets, you can know like all the different intricacies of the rarity amongst that player, versus if you sort of like only collect one or two sets of a bunch of different players, it's just a little bit harder to fully realize the hobby.
Yep. I think that's true. And plus, like, it's kind of neat, I think, to tie your collector identity to a specific player. Like everybody knows Josh collects Penny Hardaway.
Yep.
I've tied my collector identity to Jordan, Luka, and now McCaffrey. Everybody knows Spinatron collects Kobe. Everybody that when a player, when you can like build your collector brand around a player, it can help people help you.
Yeah.
Knowing what cards you're looking for and stuff, and it's just crisp and tidy. That's one of the things I like about it. Or like Brett stacking slabs. Brett, we know he collects wrestling cards and he collects Peyton Manning. It's part of his identity, and it's nice. I like that.
I really like the next question. Hawks and Habs PC says, thoughts about family members or friends giving you money to invest in cards for them. Lately, I've had a few people I know want to give me money to buy cards for them. They've offered to split on profits. Is this a good idea if they understand the risks, or should I suggest that we just don't go down this path?
I think this is a question you're going to have a lot of insight for him on. Whereas my approach would just be teach somebody to fish rather than giving them fish. I'll take that's biblical, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Give a man a fish, he eats for a day. Teach a man to fish, he eats for a lifetime.
There we go. So we're going to go biblical on this one. What do you think?
Yeah. I think it's a no-win scenario. I think if you make money, they're just going to want you to make more for you, and they're going to be splitting profits, and you're just going to have this awkward situation. If you don't, it's going to be your fault, and they're going to be mad at you. Secondly, the best part of the hobby is everything that you're not doing in this transaction. The best part of the hobby is the research, diving into something new, the hobby aspect of it, the community. You're removing all of those variables, and you're just simply making it about the money. And so that's not going to be fun for you, because you're not going to be able to make smart decisions on behalf of this person, because you're limiting yourself to only like making this person money, and you're not opening yourself up to making the best decision, in my opinion. That's just how, like, There was a time when I took a good chunk of money and tried to just flip it, and I was making bad mistakes. I was buying stuff that like I was buying like PSA 10 select like just silver cards, and I was losing money on stuff. It's like I've never lost money in cards except for when I started trying to flip. How is this happening? Because I wasn't able to connect to the hobby.
That's great. That's great stuff.
The other piece I wanted to point out is if this opportunity presents itself to you, this is a great chance for you to enjoy the hobby even more. I had a friend come to me and kind of said he didn't offer it to me in the same way. It was more of like, how can I get into it more? And I've been able to, become closer with this person as a friend because we're now connecting on this hobby, and I've also been able to bring someone new into the hobby. So there's a great opportunity, I think, to take that and kind of shift it into like, and like you said, instead of just doing it for him, teaching him how to do it. I think it's a +1 in the hobby for them joining, and also a +1 in your own life having a friend that can engage with it with you.
Great point. And I guess for people who want to really passively participate, there are avenues to do that now. There are fractional share companies, there are funds, so there are ways for people to passively participate for sure as well. So like for that person, maybe show them the collectible app and see if maybe that's something that they'd like to get involved in. It's just sort of owning shares of cards and passively participating in the hobby.
Yeah, that's a great point. Next question is for you and I about Card Ladder. MJA3415 Red says, would the gem rate of cards be a data point worth tracking?
Yeah, it probably would.
We started to do that when we first launched. We just couldn't keep up with the total pop. That data is not as easily accessible as just the individual pop on a single grade. So like you basically need, you have to have the other piece, which is the total pop. I guess we could get it for a few of the companies, but I kind of wanted it to be all or nothing.
Yep, I feel that way too. It would be, we would probably get a lot of messages all the time. Why do you have it for PSA and you don't have it for BGS? It would be like, oh God, well, do we want to explain this a million times? But maybe
no, I don't.
maybe the perfect should not be the enemy of the good. But it's a good thought. Definitely a good thought.
It's very interesting data. We've got another question related to this. So let me skip ahead. And I don't care if you don't skip ahead. I'm doing it.
I do it from time to time.
That's the beauty of our setup. I don't, like you were like, hey, can you, I'm like, I literally don't even know what you do. How do you even get the questions?
So what do you just post this basically? Yeah.
Yeah, I've adopted this thing a few years ago where like we've talked about on the show where if I'm not gonna do the thing, I'm not gonna put any of my brain power into it at all. Like it's just if I'm not doing it, I'm not doing it. JGP, but now I have a new found respect for you on the show, so I will say that.
Yeah, well, it's tough when your co-host drops off 2 or 3 times.
I said that you just couldn't handle the jealousy within you of me hosting. You're like, I'm just gonna go fuck with my router, and
Christina's like, actually, my phone's working, so get on there.
Yeah. All right, JGP_45 says 2018 Luka base Prism has surpassed 18,000 pop count, and its PSA 10 is now selling in the upper 500s. Crazy to think people were paying close to $2,000 for that card at one point. Which card in your mind will be known as the cautionary tale of the pandemic boom? I wanted to point out before you respond, it was selling for close to 2K before any of the boom. It was like in August of 2020 when that was happening, way before. So if you were to use our price check feature on 2K for Luka Doncic for August 2020, it would tell you that it's worth like 20 grand now. Instead, it's worth $500.
Wow, that's crazy, dude. I mean, okay. So here is the card letter graph for that card. And I'm just like, look, let me phrase it. I would love to ask somebody who bought the card at any point along this slope, including today, when the card last recorded sales in the about $630 range. But anybody who bought this card from December of last year through now, I would just love to know what is the thinking there. Why? Why are you buying that card? And why are you buying it at that price? Because there must be good reasons, and people are buying them. But I don't know what they are. And so I would be very curious to know what the thinking is behind buying that card at that price. I guess that's the way I can put it.
At the 2019 National, I'll never forget, this is when Gary was like just starting to really make it known that he was in the hobby, and he was sort of putting his stake in the ground on what he was going to do. And I went to his booth, and he had like, it must have been like 500 PSA 10 Luka slabs. And I looked at it and I was like, what's the play here? I think they were $100 then. And he obviously still has made money on that, and he did very well with that decision. Like, so obviously, I can't say too much. But I remember trying to get his attention and speak to him about like, hey, I see what you're doing here. You're gonna have to get ahead of the next step, which is like, you're gonna have to learn about more rare cards. You're not gonna be able to just like corner the market on these like liquid cards, because you have 500 of them, but there's gonna be fucking 20,000 of these. And it was interesting to see that he just said like, I don't know that stuff yet. I'll educate myself. And he never quite dug all the way in. He's been distracted by other things and whatnot. But I'll just never forget, like, you've got 500 of these. This doesn't make any sense. And it went way, way up. And, now it's sort of come back down to where it should be based on the quantity and the supply.
Yeah. Yep, I think that's right. Even I was looking at Card Ladder's pop growth feature and seeing that over the last 3 months, it hasn't grown a ridiculous amount. It's gone from 17.6 to 18,000. So about 400 new PSA 10s were added over the last 3 months.
Well, nobody should be grading that card anymore because it's $150 to grade it. It doesn't make as much sense to grade it.
No, I know. I mean, most of that must be backlog stuff,
but I didn't have a question for this next topic, but it kind of leads itself nicely into it. There was a post by Bobby, Sports Card Investments.
Yep.
And do you have that? Did you see that?
I saw it. Yep.
So he was talking about the like 2-year progression sort of timeline for someone entering the hobby, and how they start off, going through the base card phase and trying to learn things, potentially buying high population cards just because they don't know any better yet. And then they sort of get into the more rare parallels, then they get into autos, then they get into like super rare. I'm a collector now, I want to find like the rarest of the rare of my player or whatever. And then the final phase was like, hey, I want to consolidate out all that stuff, that I made mistakes on, and really hone in on exactly what I like and what I enjoy now. I thought it was really well scripted, and it's just sort of like painted a really nice picture of what I believe happened in these first 2 years. And you and I have talked about it so much that like we've been following these trends of like, hey, it's PSA 10, this isn't going to last. And then the next one's like parallels, this isn't going to last. You need to learn what the proper parallels are. So we started teaching people about, RPAs, national treasures, making sure they understand the proper products. And then now these people are like fully ingrained, I feel like, a lot of them. And it's like, now it's like player collecting and which super rare things are you after. And then he pointed out sort of the data behind that using Card Ladder, which was that, and the high end stuff is performing really well and the low end stuff is not, because people are moving away from the low end now that they've progressed in the hobby. And it's all kind of corresponds to the boom of, a year and a half ago, a year ago. What did you think about all that?
Yeah, I thought that was a great post. And one of the things that he pointed out was there was something natural to his own. He could recognize this trend because he went through it. Many of us have gone through it. The sort of natural trend of, one of the problems is this. If you just get into sports cards and you're ready to buy a card, you might go to eBay and the card you should buy is not available. It's very difficult. And that's something that might not make sense immediately. It's like, yeah, I'd love to get into cards, but I can't because the card that I should be getting isn't available. What is this? This is dumb. Like, what am I buying a house and waiting for the right house to show up on the market? Like, why is it so serious? Why is it like this? but it really is like that, and you have to wait and be patient, and you know, so there's just a learning curve. That's all. There's just a real natural learning curve. And I guess to go back to the prism-based PSA 10 thing for a second with Luka, maybe that's the play that people are thinking, is they're going to acquire a whole bunch of copies of this card and expect that there's going to be a new flood of new people who are going to go through that same learning curve. And maybe that will drive up the price of that card once more. Maybe there's a thought process along those lines going on. I don't know. So, a couple thoughts on it there.
Yeah, it was also funny to watch this transition happen with content creators. It's a pretty similar trajectory, and we've said so many times, like, if you're gonna listen to content creators, or us included, make sure you're sort of gleaning from them the educational pieces and the pieces that you can apply to your own situation, and not necessarily like go buy XYZ. Because as you pointed out, if I just tell you to go buy something, you go to eBay and it's not even fucking there. This isn't the stock market. This isn't, Bitcoin, where you can just go buy infinite pieces of it. You have to you really have to dig into it. And that's what makes it so great. Because it's not so easy. Like, who wants something that's as easy as take 10,000, put in Bitcoin, wait for money to be up? And I saw Victory Investments was posting about this, and he's like, I would love to just make money on Bitcoin all the time, but it's so fucking boring. So boring. I would much rather double my money over a 5-year period with cards than I would with anything else, because in 5 years of cards, I basically have a whole new hobby that's my life's entrenched into, right?
Absolutely. Carvin says many investors / speculators are more educated, and they're also becoming more and more of a collector as well. And that's such a welcome evolution. And but by the same token, there's almost like a tisk that should go with this, because whether you're an investor, an entrepreneur, a flipper, or a collector, this is a collectibles market. The fundamentals of what makes things collectible are ultimately going to govern the value of its items. Yep. So why should it ever have otherwise been that things like rarity, scarcity, aesthetic appeal, historical importance, those things should have always been at the very forefront of theories of investment in sports cards. They should have always been that way.
This next question is perfectly timed, and of course, it's from a legend, Cards and Candy 911. Nice. Yeah, is making fun of prospects not doing well good for the hobby? I mean, by doing that, wouldn't it offend some people and make them want to leave the hobby? Are we sure this actually helps people out? The only reason I ask is because I got a buddy who just got into the hobby. He put some money into Kevin Porter Jr., and seeing all the social media bashing of him, he's now out of the hobby.
Oh, we have to be able to laugh at ourselves, don't we? We have to.
We're guilty of this to a certain extent.
Oh,
I mean, if you can't even stay in the kitchen when someone you don't know is making fun of what you're doing, then you shouldn't be in the kitchen at all. Woo. It sounds like that guy has a hard time dealing with life in general. If what someone else says online matters that much to him that he would leave something that he's enjoying because someone didn't like a decision he made.
Well, maybe that's the thing, though, is that it stopped becoming fun when the guy who he placed his bet on, who wants to go online or participate in the hobby.
Maxi Kleba. I don't,
well,
you guys
fair,
make fun of
fair,
me for
fair
it.
point,
So,
fair point.
I mean, grow some. Can I say that?
You felt very strongly about
I did
this.
feel very strongly about it. I'm sorry. I know Cards and Candy's VIP, and I'm sure his friend is just a well-adjusted, normal person, but at the end of the day, these are strangers. Who cares what they say about you or what you're collecting?
All right. What do you say, Josh?
I did not expect that turn.
No, that was the chat's kind of having fun with this too.
Well, it's funny because I can't see the chat because you have my phone.
I mean, everyone's agreeing with you, basically.
Yeah, everyone's saying it can't be soft.
Yeah, it's people say stuff on the internet. You gotta learn how to not read it. I guess his point, the way I'm thinking about it is is it good for the hobby overall if sort of we have this sort of tone that we've cultivated in the hobby? It's almost like if you've built a an environment at the workplace where like, you know, new people come in and everyone is like very cliquey and making fun of stuff? Is it going to be harder for those new people to jump in? Maybe I'm just thinking about it in terms of new people coming in. Do we want that to be sort of the underlying theme of what we rest on?
No, we don't. You know, because here's the thing. A lot of the positivity happens privately, you know, in group chats or in personal messages, or, you know, victories are celebrated privately and failures are celebrated publicly sometimes. And sometimes it can get out of balance where, you know, we're just constantly, you know, savoring the failures because there's so many other successes, you know, that it balances things out. And if you're in the hobby, you should hate at least something. Find something in the hobby to hate, and you know, relish it and enjoy it.
Or someone.
Or someone. And some people just, you know, the way that they vent their frustrations with the hobby is by saying, look, you know, not every prospect is going to be the next Michael Jordan, and we should settle down a little bit, you know. And it does get a little offensive too, you know, when like there's a prospect and he has a few good games and all of a sudden, you know, that prospect, you know, and then all of a sudden, oh, it keeps sleeping on my guy. And Lameme has had some good memes about this. You know, guy has a good couple of games and all of a sudden, you know, we're putting the cart way before the horse and guys are getting overconfident, and it can be off-putting. It's complicated. It's not just so simple as just like, oh, people are hating. You know, no, there's nuances to this, and there's reasons why people, you know, don't really like this whole prospect pumping thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, the way that I see Instagram is like it's too positive on the pumping side and like pushing up players that don't deserve it. So I've always sort of like leaned towards the cynicism to balance things out. So like I don't think it's overly negative. I think it's like a little bit too positive in my opinion, but that's just me. I'm a cynic, so.
Yeah. And so, you know, something we should keep in mind too, that was part of the call of the question was, what about how this impacts recruiting and keeping people in the hobby, you know? And if we're getting firsthand reports that somebody actually left the hobby because we can be a little too negative about stuff and we can relish the flame out, which by the way, Kevin Porter Jr. is not flamed out. That's another thing we should talk about briefly too, is that guys are going to have good streaks. They're going to have bad streaks. It is way premature to decide what Kevin Porter Jr. is or isn't. Oh, speaking of that too, I got a great card this week of a guy who I think many people wrote off too early, and now I'm taking a risk on. But it didn't come, so it'll have to be saved for mail day next week. It's too bad because it would have been perfect to talk about in this segment. Because the guy who I just bought a nice card of is in his 5th season, and many people said he was a bust, even though he was a lottery pick, and now he's getting a second chance, and it's fun. And so look, don't write these guys up. What if people had wrote off Giannis 2nd, 3rd, 4th year, or Kawhi, or Steph Curry? You know, none of those guys were even remotely close to the MVP level players that they became for the first 2, 3, 4, 5 seasons. So we got to keep that in mind too. Like,
yeah, if Kevin Porter Jr. is your favorite player and you believe in him and you think that he's going to be the next thing, you should be fucking thrilled. The prices are cheaper. Like you're able to dollar cost average down or whatever, and go all out, get all his best shit, and prove everybody wrong. Isn't that like what it's all about? Proving people wrong, especially when you're a high profile athlete. That's what those guys do. Yeah.
And you know what then? The pain of the failures stings, but it makes the successes that much sweeter. So
exactly right.
Christina's point, persevere. Cards and candy, tell your friend to come back. We just did 10 minutes for him. Bring him back.
LeBron's favorite title was the one that was the most painful and the hardest one to get to. So he doesn't want the one where he's sweeping teams, which he never did. Here's a quick tip. Oh, and being the legend that Cards and Candy is, he also offers a quick tip for everybody, which I enjoyed, so I wrote it down. People selling on eBay, please change your name and don't have cards in your name, or in it, our local USPS has been seeing a lot more mail thefts lately, and I'm sure that packages with the word cards on it is a big target. I did this myself. I took the word cards out of my name. I took Cardboard Chronicles off of it. I made it not look like a business address anymore. Great advice. It's great.
That's super good advice, and that's an issue right now. A couple of collectors I know have moved their collections to safety deposit boxes and or vaults simply because there's been headline news of high level theft. And so in addition to like those really smart tips that Cars and Candy just gave about obscuring the nature of your packages, also collector's insurance.
I want to hear the chat's ideas of taking it a step further and not only like hiding what it is, but changing what your business is to something stupid so where no one would want to touch it. So what ideas would you put? Like, I don't know, cat food, some like random business where you're shipping cat food around. Nobody's going to want that.
But pet food is expensive. You'd be surprised.
Well, what's a business that could actually hold?
Publius is so smart.
Publius is really clever. Okay,
Look at the Mavs roster, and he's like, nope. Fifth season, cha-ching.
So, what type of business would take things that come in small bubble mailers?
I don't know. That's what the chat has to figure out.
Poop samples?
IRS.
A paper company, says Stiff Arm Wax.
Dunder Mifflin.
All of a sudden, there's 100 Dunder Mifflins on eBay.
I was thinking something about like stamps or like literally cards, like Hallmark cards. Who's gonna want to steal your Hallmark cards?
Some grandma.
All right, let's move on. Leopard Man Cards says, if you had to predict what Panini brands or inserts will be the most sought after in the long run and why, this is a very clever way to ask what should I invest in?
Oh boy. Well, I'll use this as an opportunity to say something nice about Kabooms, since we don't do very much of that.
Fucker.
And give Josh a chance to take a break. If nothing else, Kabooms are a story of a rags to riches story in the modern hobby, and the rags to riches aspect of it happened long after the two pandemic booms, whether it was the August boom or the February, March, April 2021 boom, August 2020 or the spring of 2021 boom. The Kaboom boom happened after that. And so I think it is smart to think and look at inserts and think about if that is replicable or if that can happen again. And so, I wouldn't pick any specific insert set and say this is the one, because I wouldn't have picked Kaboom to be the one. So
He also says brands.
Brands, yeah. And this is, I'll take this in a slightly different direction. This is where you can go a little bit askew in a worrisome way, because you can zag too hard here, and you can say, oh man, I just know that what's a good example here? Crusade. I just know that Crusade is gonna get its respect. People are sleeping on it right now, and then the product is discontinued. So you can always run the risk of veering too hard, or you can make a big bet on Select on an investment theory that is the same thing as Prism, but even more exclusive and better. And then the next year, Panini ramps up the production on Select tenfold, and all of a sudden, everything that made it attractive is no longer there. So, got to be careful. I wouldn't zag too hard on something like this.
Yeah, I was going to keep this one pretty simple. I don't think you overthink this too much. You're going to be, especially, I think I had another question about like Fanatics taking over. What do we focus on in the Panini era? I think it's the same kind of answer. It's like, Prism, National Treasures, Gold Prism. If you want to get into like cracked ice maybe, or if you want to get a little deeper with like I personally like Galactics. I know a lot of people like Kaboom. I don't think you overthink it too much. You just sort of stick to what's kind of the obvious answer, really. It's sad to say, but that's really what happens is if you're talking about brands and stuff, it's usually the simple answer. And it's like, oh, those are more expensive. And it's like, yeah, well, that's what people said to us when we were like, we're telling people to if you're gonna really, if you just want to invest and like jump into the hobby, just buy Jordan, LeBron, Kobe, and it's not that hard. It's like, well, those guys are overpriced. You should buy Miles Turner. And what happened is that the main stuff went up 20x and the other stuff like went down. So it's the same kind of thing here.
Yep, I think that's fair.
All right, Flippity Flip Cards he says, this is for me, he says, Josh, how much of your newfound CP3 PC will you end up grading? And I sent my entire collection minus what was already slabbed in PSA to PSA 3 days ago. I just got the email today that they received it.
That's fun. Do you think do you have expectations of how it'll grade out?
I'm a little nervous that I'm going to get a lot of like 5s and 6s. I also, for the exquisite stuff, I did the dual grade. I did the condition grade and the auto grade. So I'm a little worried that a couple are going to be like, PSA 6, auto 9, and it's like, why did I even do this? I think I'll still enjoy it that way. So I think I'll be fine either way.
Nice.
I don't think I'll get any PSA 10s though, dude. Like, they're pretty old cards and they're all raw.
Well, there was a great story that showed up on Facebook of a guy who bought, I think it was the 1994 Collector's Choice Gold Signature Michael Jordan, the baseball one. Bought a raw copy on eBay for $400. Just came back a PSA 10.
Jeez.
Still happens.
I think the best card of the bunch is the RPA, the exquisite RPA, and it's got a nasty patch, perfect auto. I think that one's got a pretty good shot at like a PSA 910, which would really be awesome. I think that would really, increase the love that I have of that card. I would love to have it in the 910, so that would be cool.
Nice.
And I really wanted to try PSA for the thicker slabs.
Yeah.
I'm all in, dude. I'm just all in on PSA. I like their brand. And the more that these other companies keep up, I only heard of 2 new grading companies this week that I've never heard of. Only 2. So it's a slow week.
Maybe the chat can help with this. Why does everybody want to own a grading company or a marketplace? Why?
Have you heard of Ace Grading?
I actually may have heard of that.
I want to find one that you haven't heard of. That's when we know. It's like, all right.
Yeah. No, I have.
ACE Grading.
Let's see if this is in the list of exclusions. It's not. Ace is not in this list.
Ace is the place for the helpful hardware store and slabbing your cards. Let's see. Let's move on here. All right. Northwoods Card Collector says, with so many parallels made by Panini across tons of products, this is the other question, I found it. Besides the gold vinyl, which parallel is the most aesthetically pleasing that you think most collectors will want to collect of their favorite player 10 years from now if they don't want to go for the whole rainbow?
This is pretty much like, what's your favorite Prism parallel other than gold?
Yeah, pretty much. This is not the question I was thinking of, by the way.
Black 1 of 1.
I thought, no, you always say Nebula.
Oh, Nebula too. Nebula is fantastic as well. Although, I have been coming around to black. Definitely been coming around to black. Maybe it's because I've been collecting football and there's no Nebula over there. Maybe I'm just gaining an appreciation for the fact that black is the first 1 of 1.
I'm going to say silver.
Nice.
I think silver is a little bit undervalued right now. Silver has been clumped in with base a lot right now, and they're sort of following each other down. And there's still a lot of silvers out there. I'm thinking about like Select. Their silvers are rare. And silver has the furthest lineage of any parallel, any refractor. And it's always, to me, sort of seen as like the de facto like main parallel. So I don't know. I feel like I like having just regular old silver parallels. Like I just like having, if I want a refractor card, just give me like a refractor. It doesn't need to be fucking red and blue and all this crap. I just want it to be regular. And I'm not sure why you would like 93 finest refractor, 96 tops chrome refractor. Those are just regular refractors. I don't. If I'm gonna design a card, I'd like the design of the card to stand out. And if I want to give it the shine, I just give it the regular color. I don't need to add a color to it. I don't know.
Nice.
Thinking outside the box, inside the box.
You're thinking so far outside the box, you're back inside.
It's like base cards are boring. They don't shine at all. Guess what does shine? Silver refractors.
Yeah.
I'll take orange. Under 50, and it looks like gold.
There you go. Yeah. Orange, the poor man's gold.
You know when you're like scrolling through eBay and you see the orange and you're like, where's that? No, it's orange. Fuck it, keep going.
When I pulled an orange, I thought it was gold and I got super excited.
But orange is a low numbered one usually.
Yeah, 49.
Yeah, 49 in basketball.
In Prism, yep.
The 2008 Topps Chrome, the orange and the gold are kind of similar, and I'm always like, oh, that's a 2008 Topps Chrome gold LeBron. No, it's not. It's orange. Keep going. Don't care.
Yeah. Yeah, but that does make orange very desirable.
Yep.
Aesthetically, it's pretty on par with gold. Still low numbered, but not as low numbered. Certainly something to like there.
The other one I'll say real quick before we move on is team color. I've always liked team color.
Yep, that's a good call out.
Okay, this is from David, mostly 90s basketball cards. He has 2 questions, so we'll do them both right now. What was the last card you bought that was not one of your PC players?
By the way, we'll see David in New York.
Yes, we will.
Shortly here. Okay, so what was the last card that I bought that was not one of my PC players? Well, like I showed the mail day earlier in this episode, this Mahomes. I don't PC Mahomes. But this is a third-year select gold Mahomes, PSA 9. So that's the one that first comes to mind, I guess. But I bought that card like a year ago, but I just got it reslabbed and sent back to me. I don't know. What would you say?
I'm really having trouble thinking.
That's a hard question.
I've bought Jordan cards here and there. Some of them ones that you really wish you could have that I wasn't able to get over to you, unfortunately. But I don't know, man. I've bought a couple. Like I bought some Mahomes and Giannis stuff.
Yeah, it's just
Didn't you bought a Russell Westbrook when you were like?
Oh yeah.
Seeing him.
There you go.
Yeah, I sold that shit.
I'm gonna know your PC better than you.
You probably honestly like I don't have that great of a memory, to be completely honest with you guys. Like I'm not that great at memory stuff.
Yeah, me neither.
You know what I'm really, really bad at? This is a funny side topic.
You guys don't have good memories? That's shocking to me. I've never realized.
What are you getting at? Go back. Go get back.
Waiting. Is this a dig? I'm waiting.
I don't know. It's just there's always a subtext of some kind. What were you saying?
I'm going back. I'm back at work.
All right. I was gonna say, fuck. Now I've lost my train. Okay. Music. Christina, we talked about music a few months ago. I can't remember fucking any artist or songs that they sing or anything. Like if you're like, name your favorite song from this major artist, I'd be like, I literally can't name one song. I can hear, if you play the song, I would be like, yeah, I recognize that. What's it called? I have no idea.
No, I know. But it's sometimes though, it's almost like, what do you want to donate your memory to in the computer hardware sense of the word? And I have no bandwidth for certain piece of information. My brain doesn't retain them whatsoever.
It's filled with too many Frasier quotes. You're out of room. Those are tough quotes. I mean, that show's pretty intellectual.
Frasier? Yeah, I have no Frasier quotes. I'm lucky if I remember the name of all the characters.
Well, Frasier.
We got Frazier. Yep, that one
Niles.
that one I usually get. Niles.
What's the girl's name?
Daphne.
There you go. Frank.
Frank.
Martin, the dog.
Eddie. Wait, Martin is the dad's name?
Yeah.
See, there we go. I didn't know the dad. I've watched Frasier 5 times.
I said Frank. That was my bad.
No, I was going to say Frank as well.
Frank is Everybody Loves Raymond or something. I don't know.
Yeah, that's the father and Everybody Loves Raymond.
Christina
Nailed
started.
it.
Everybody Loves Raymond.
It's really funny.
This is why we have Christina on the Card Ladder staff to remember shit for us.
That's right. That's very true. So, okay, so our answer to the question is, I guess I go with Mahomes, and
Westbrook, yeah.
you have Westbrook. There you go.
All right. His other question is, it's another insert question, but it's actually different. 90s inserts get a lot of attention, and there's a fair amount of debate about the best Panini era inserts, but what are some inserts you love from 2000 to 2010? Oof.
I'm a little out of my wheelhouse on that one. So in fact, the only really insert I can even name from that era, I know that there was Jambalayas in that era. I know.
Yeah.
That's about all.
That's really not. That's not an insert era at all. It was more about like exquisite and parallels. It really was more about like the introduction of the rainbow and exquisite and jersey patches. There's really like Jambalaya, you're right, but that was like more of a sort of like the reprint kind of stuff. Hot Hands, Gallery of Heroes. That's a good one.
Good. Yeah, Hot Hands and Gallery of Heroes. We have some of the early Gallery of Heroes in Card Ladder. We do not have Hot Hands, but that would be a good insert set to add. And Hot Hands is kind of like the heir to the Hot Shots throne. So
I've thought for a long time that era, 2000, 2010, is really interesting, especially the non-2003 and like 2000 to 2002, because it's like there was not many good rookie classes there, actually really, really terrible ones. And, there's a lot of like, types of cards that people have never talked about or showed, and that this is a great example of that. Like we can't even name one, so like there's clearly some stuff in there that potentially could be undervalued.
Yeah. I mean, and many of those should have Kobe in them.
Yep. All right. Let's see. Brad Varta 2 says, okay, ... the 5 best / notorious cards of all time from players that absolutely busted. I've got a couple to get your brain going. Because I've already been preparing a little bit on this one.
Okay, let's go.
I'm thinking of the Greg Oden top scrum rookie.
Yep.
I'm thinking of Jamarcus Russell contenders.
Oh, okay, good.
Some of these cards, dude, Anthony Bennett Prism Gold rookie.
Yeah, that's where my brain went.
And those are the 3 that I've got. But, dude, I know there are those guys that actually actively collect some of that stuff. Like, it's so cheap. And it's almost, it tells the history of the sports of like, dude, not everybody is, LeBron, and not everybody turns into this like top flight prospect and becomes this spectacular player. Sometimes they absolutely do the complete opposite, and they can't even remember to watch game film. Oh, Andrew Bynum, Kwame Brown. These are great suggestions.
Do you remember when the Anthony Bennett Prism Black showed up? This must have been a year ago now, and it sold for like between 30 and 40 grand. And everyone was like, yeah, and everyone was like, oh, this is ridiculous. But I remember talking about this on Crossover, but like a few of us were like, well, and then it got relisted and it sold for like 2 or 3 grand.
Yeah,
which is still high for a guy who completely busted out of the league.
Ben Simmons.
Okay, that's harsh. That's still early, Rodman. See, we're doing it. We're doing the thing that
RG3 Cracked Ice Contenders is a dope card. It's actually it's one of the better years of designs.
Yeah, it's a fun question. Has the chat chimed in with any good here? Carvin says
The chat,
Darius Miles Ultimate.
the chat is on fire. Adam Morrison, Johnny Manziel, Smush Parker, Kwame Brown, Andrew Bynum. Andrew Bynum won a championship. Spreewell Autographics, that's a good one. Man, I would say definitively there are way more complete absolute busts than there are, generational talents.
Yeah, as there should be. There's only room for so many generational talents in every generation.
But some of these busts are like really bad, like top 5 picks that were supposed to be this amazing thing, and they literally were just like some of the worst players in the league.
Yeah, that's tough.
Anthony Bennett is, I would say, the best example. Jamarcus Russell.
What's the thing about Anthony Bennett that's so funny? I remember this. Before Zion played his first game, and I guess it must have been February of 2020-ish. Would that have been when he was played his first game? Well, whatever it was, before he played his first game, we were all very careful to not mention the name Anthony Bennett too many times in the hobby. It was maybe a little bit superstitious.
Yeah, but Anthony Bennett was like literally like a one-hit wonder in the tournament, and it was like no one had even talked about him in the first round up before his like really hot streak in the tournament, whereas Zion had like years of build-up.
Yeah, no, I mean in retrospect now, Zion is a top 25 player when healthy. So Zion is 100% the real deal. But I just remember everybody being nervous and kind of holding their breath.
Right.
And then, dude, the way that first game played out, it was very sketchy. Had he not made 4 back-to-back-to-back-to-back three-pointers in the fourth quarter, he would have ended that game with like 2 points.
Yep. Dude, that actually would be a pretty fun PC to build. For like if I gave you $5,000 to build out the PC, and the stipulation was you had to buy someone who was just like a complete total bust, you could fucking have like a lot of sweet cards.
Yeah, football, I think football has a ton of busts, especially at the quarterback position, or a ton of people who are just like out of the league rapidly.
Yeah, especially quarterback, you're right, because there's been so many examples of where guys succeeded in systems in college and they got to the NFL and it's like, oh my God, they literally don't know how to play quarterback. They only know how to play the system they were in college, and they fucking suck. Or they got into hard drugs, Johnny Manziel.
Yep.
Let's see. Here we go. This is the one. Man, this question is like, I feel like everyone just wants to know, like, what Panini cards should I buy? It's the same kind of like question, but when the Fanatics takeover happens, does that make Panini era wax and singles more valuable if they were to discontinue? Do you think they'll discontinue Prism, Optic, Select inserts when the takeover occurs? I know it's just speculation. Thanks.
More
Hit them with the legalities. Hit them with the legalities of these brands. They can't just like take them.
Right. Well, yeah, that's a great point. So Fanatics would need to acquire those brands from Panini. And we don't even know if Panini, or Fanatics could license them, but we don't know if Panini's going to be interested in that. It looks like Panini is pivoting into its other sports and its other franchises.
Yep.
And
they're going to keep Prism.
Yeah, they'd like to use Prism for their UFC cards. And I think they just rolled out Immaculate for UFC not that long ago.
Yep.
They would like to keep those brands for their products, but maybe there could be a chance to license it out. Maybe Panini gets acquired still. I don't know. So that's extremely speculative. And the thing I think about is just a lot of Panini products are very high, especially wax. Like, what's a 2018 Prism Hobby Box of basketball going for right now? Let's see.
The other part of the question was, does this make the Panini era stuff go up and down in value, given that they're going to stop printing it just for the specific sports we're talking about? Obviously, does does, Panini Prism basketball go up given that we won't see it ever again? So the argument is like it's more rare because they stopped printing it, but the brand stops. So it's sort of this like competing things here.
Yep, yeah, because you have to think about the other side of the coin there, which is that brand loses a lot of its momentum. And a lot of the momentum that drives these brands, I think, is the excitement of new product coming out year after year.
Right.
So it will be difficult, especially when Fanatics will have the new shiny object. They will have their new Chromium brand. They'll have their new rookie patch autograph brand. So I think it'll be tricky. It's very early to call that, but I just went on Card Ladder and I looked up the value of the 2018 Prism basketball box, and those are at 5,800. So, I mean, that's pretty darn high.
Yeah.
Not quite sure how much higher a box like that can go anytime soon. So it's tricky. It's tricky out here trying to play a market when the market is quite high. And if you're wrong, it can be pretty painful.
So I discovered that playing your role in this show isn't so easy, and you're discovering giving the first reactions not so easy, is it?
I guess not.
I'm just fucking with you. I had a kind of a thought on this, and that was that like I think short term it's gonna hurt it. Like people are gonna look for that shiny new object right away, and they're gonna shift all their attention over to Fanatics and try to understand what the brands and Fanatics are, and they're gonna get real excited about it and sort of forget about the Panini stuff. And I'm thinking about like when Panini took over, I think the Topps Chrome and Exquisite stuff sort of got pushed to the side in the early stages, and then now it's sort of regaining some of that luster later on. So I think it might take some time, but people will eventually come back around to this era. Well said. You're right. I have to say that more. That's my one little nugget I'll give you.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's good stuff. I just there's there's a group of us who really value and lionize 90s products, but that didn't transfer over to the next generation.
Right.
We love Upper Deck 90s products. We love Skybox. We love Metal Universe. But I don't hear any of the collectors of modern players speaking with any special reverence when they talk about 90s products. Their reverence is saved for Prism and National Treasures and Immaculate and Flawless
and Reward
Select and Optic and so on and so forth. So
yeah.
I just think you have to be careful. You have to be really careful there that looking at a precedent like 90s products, like that knowledge wasn't just like telepathically communicated to the next generation. It didn't work that way.
But the 90s generation sort of rebooted itself and got itself more excited about 90s over time. So it may not be able to transfer the love of Panini over to the people who come in with Fanatics, but the people who are in now will sort of rediscover their love for Panini years down the line.
Absolutely right. And Yam makes a really provocative comment when he points out 2012 and 13 Panini will be nostalgic. I actually think the nostalgia, that's a smart point, but I think the nostalgia is going to accrue more to 2017 through today. Because
that's interesting.
This is when the hobby boomed. In the same way that I have nostalgia for mid to late 90s products, and not the first issues of Upper Deck or Skybox or Flare.
That's a fucking great point. 2018 Prism, dude. That was just like a fantastic product. It got so many people into the hobby. It had an amazing rookie class. That's a great point. 2012 is a little bit wonky because it's got the dual class and it's, people want to say it's the first and that's what they're globbing onto. But man, 2017, 2018, and 2019 with Zion, I think you're right.
And across two sports, 2017 Mahomes and that draft class, 2018 Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, and that draft class, 2019 Kyler Murray. So football has that going for it too. But like 09 National Treasures and 2012 Prism, those still have good draft classes. 12 has Kawhi and Anthony Davis. 13 has Giannis, and then 09 has Curry and Harden. So there's still a lot to like there. It's not to say anything bad about those, but I do think, like, when you think about the mechanics of nostalgia, it's going to relate to this huge influx of people that happened over the last few years, and the products that they were buying was stuff from 17, 18, 19 rookie classes.
And it's kind of, again, going back to the point of most people underestimating the pull of the actual hobby and the infrastructure of the hobby itself, and trying to make it more about, like, you know, player performance and like the players and the sport, when the reality is it's more about the history and the, you know, the card mechanics itself, like you said. All right, next, let's move on. You're on my watch now, Chris. We move at the pace that I decide.
No, you definitely keep it moving. It's nice.
I want to get through all these questions. That's why I feel like I owe it to just like get through this.
I know what you mean.
And I really like the whole Q&A thing, because it like gives content to us that we don't have to sit here. Like when you were dropping out because of internet, I was like, oh my God, what do I do? I really like having a scripted. All right, Cardi C Sports. What's up, Chris? I want to collect a new player, but I'm not sure where to start. Where can I go to find what the community has designated as their key cards or quirks about a player's offerings? And Chris is no rookie. He knows that, like, you know, one of the important things is, like, I need to learn about the key cards, and I need to learn about what all cards are offered for this player. So that's the first step. So he's got that out of the way. What do you say? Where does he go next?
Well, I would find other collectors of this player is my very first move. You know, using hashtags, using searches on social media, particularly Instagram. I would try to find other players, other player collections of this player, and see what type of PCs they've built out and what cards get them most excited and what cards seem to be most celebrated by collectors of that player. And then I would also, you know, rely on my own taste. Like Cardi C has a terrific collection and a lot of knowledge about the hobby. And so I wouldn't deviate too far from what I like. Like when I veered into McCaffrey, football collectors place a larger premium on memorabilia and autograph cards than I do. So I was actually able to carve out my own little lane in McCaffrey collecting and focus on the stuff that I love, which, you know, is non-auto, non-memorabilia, shiny, one of one. You know, so I was able to target that stuff and have a blast picking it up. And I already knew the product intimately well because I've been collecting a different player who is in all the modern Panini stuff. Christine and I have been collecting them for the last few years. So I was able to transfer some of the information, but that comes with the caveat that it is different. You know, football does have a different hierarchy than basketball in certain respects. And then Yamwax makes a great point. I did this as well with McCaffrey. Join or create an Instagram group and Facebook group. So one of the ways, the very best McCaffrey card I have, a guy messaged me on Instagram about it, but then I joined a Facebook group that he was an admin of, and that's what smoothed over the deal and kind of helped us close that deal. Was that, you know, we had several layers of comfort with each other at that point. So there's almost always a Facebook group for almost any player. So I don't know. There's a couple things there to chew on.
Yeah, I like those a lot. I'll say something similar on like the Chris Paul thing. I spent a good like month or two really trying to understand the 2005 rookie cards, and like I found a lot of people on Instagram who had collections, and then I put my own spin on it. You know, I after seeing everything I saw in 2 months and knowing what I know about the hobby, and this question will really be good for Chris because he, like you said, he knows a lot about the hobby already. Take what you've learned in that amount of time and then put your spin on it and like put your own knowledge to it and go pretty heavy on what you enjoy already and just try to apply some of those same principles to like your new thing.
That's good stuff. I agree with that.
Like, you know, for example, I knew a lot about LeBron stuff from that era, so I was like, well, let me just go after my favorite LeBron stuff of Chris Paul, and I can sort of like scratch this itch that I've never been able to get with LeBron cards that are so expensive, and let me fill that void in my life with Chris Paul, and it just made it that much more fun. Fun, that's the word. That's the word, isn't it, Chris?
That's that, dude. It's easy to lose sight of that, and but you can't take it for granted. And you do have to be deliberate about it. Like when you're brand new to the hobby, everything's fun, everything's new, everything's exciting. But after you've been around for a while, you have to be intentional about making sure you're doing the stuff that you like and that you have fun doing, and you're avoiding the stuff that's just wasting your time.
When I sold the LeBron RPA, I obviously had some extra money lying around, and I sent you another card I bought tonight, which I'll hopefully have next week. But like, I've just been buying like literally the cards that I had before that I regretted selling to get the RPA, and it's like, why did I sell this? I want it back. I have one with me now that I stupidly sold, and I got the exact same card back that I graded myself, and so I don't know where I'm going with that.
That's good. No, that's what's fun, dude. You're having fun. I think that's where that came from.
Once you can separate yourself from the money investing and you just focus purely on the fun and the cards that you just love just because of what they are and the looks of them and stuff, I feel like you just end up doing better anyways. All right, next question. I don't really want to touch this, so please don't spend a lot of time on it.
Okay.
But I'll let you, I'm not going to even try. You try if you want. Cajun_cardboard says, are PSA grading standards different for different eras? And this is not the question of, has PSA changed their grading standards internally in the company? It means like, do they grade 50s cards differently than 90s?
There does seem to be some thought that could be happening. If it is happening, I do believe it happens with good reason. And it's because PSA has graders of specific expertises that know certain eras and that have calibrated the grading scales and the distribution of grades accordingly for those eras. But how would you ever test it? How would you ever say, I have a 90s card, but if it had the year 2020 on it, it'd be a 10, but because it has the year 97 on it, it's a 6. I don't know how you could test that. But some people will appeal to common sense and just kind of say, look, this card only has 1 or 2 flaws and it's from the 90s and they're stricter on that stuff. It could be, but it's also all relative at the same time. So as long as there's a consistent grading standard, which I think there is, if there wasn't a consistent grading standard in the different eras, we wouldn't be able to observe trends like these. So as long as the grading standard is consistent, then collectors just need to calibrate their expectations by era. So I do believe that PSA is strict on 90 stuff.
Especially the metal stuff.
Yeah, definitely. So, but I understand that. So if I see a PMG 7 pop up, a PSA 7 of a PMG, I know that card's in pretty good shape. I know that card's probably like a BGS 9 or a BGS 8.5, So it is what it is. It's an interesting topic, but no one's ever really systematically or empirically demonstrated it. It's just all kind of one-offs.
Conjecture, yeah. The example specifically for this person, Cajun, was that he had pointed out it was a 52 tops mantle, actually, and the centering was just terrible. The corner looked soft, and it got the same grade as a metal Michael Jordan card from the late 90s.
Okay.
And they both got PSA 6, and one of them, like, the mantle clearly looked worse off. But as I was saying, the metal stuff is they're very, very picky about the metal, and I think it's just like the surface gets, they get dinged on the edges a lot. Like that whole like metal era is very strict with the 90s graders, and like the PMGs and stuff and all that 90s stuff goes to them, and they're just very strict about it.
Yep, I think that's right. I think you touch on something too when it comes to surface. Surface can be the most difficult thing to see in pictures, and it can even be the most difficult thing to detect flaws with in hand. And though the surface is definitely where 90s stuff really struggles.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that, like, it's another rant about all these new grading companies, but like, it's easy to kind of dump on PSA, but they have like 25 years of experience, and I know firsthand that PSA hires people that know a lot about the cards that they grade, and PSA just has like so much history, so much cards they've already graded in the past. Like, you're just going to have to put your trust in PSA to a certain extent, and that's the whole point of grading. If you don't trust what PSA is doing and putting on their grades, the whole thing breaks down, and the whole thing is meaningless. So if we don't put our trust in their knowledge of how to grade cards, then we're going to be up shit creek without a paddle. So we're gonna have to put our trust in them enough. And if you don't, don't grade your cards with them. If you do, I think we gotta kind of take their grade. The CP3 cards that I get back, I'm probably gonna be pissed about some of this stuff. I'm probably gonna get PSA 5s on stuff that I missed some surface damage or edge wear or whatever that I missed. And then, I'm gonna have to bitch about it and stuff, but like eventually I'll get over it, right?
Yep, sounds about right. Grading, man, it's a very important, but and fun and frustrating part of the hobby all at once.
There's a guy in the hobby that I trust a lot for how he looks over cards and how he and PSA hired that person. And when I saw that happen, I was like, dude, PSA is literally hiring people in the trenches that I know knows the shit out of this stuff. And that was really, for me, it was like, okay, PSA knows what they're doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we don't see a lot of hobby companies hiring talent from the hobby. So anytime that happens, it's very commendable.
You and I are very aware of that, that whole discussion and like how much it means to understand the hobby, like you said. So especially given that like these new businesses that pop up, have only the people that run them oftentimes have been in the hobby for a year or so, and they don't have the proper knowledge to be able to take off properly. So, all right, this one's an interesting question because we usually get questions from the veterans. This one comes from a newbie, well, a self-proclaimed newbie. A newbie is a bad word. I'll say someone new to the hobby. It's Jay Waterman. He says, hello, it's me, a new guy to the hobby. So he wants us to know he's new. Panini's product line has me feeling dizzy. Let's say my son and I wanted to pinch our pennies and buy 2 to 3 basketball hobby boxes per year. What should we be buying? I think I figured out that Prism is good and Chronicles is bad, but there are like 100 other options as well. It would be cool to hear an answer from other perspectives as well, i.e. top 3 products based on historical significance, top 3 based on your favorite design aesthetics. Thanks, love the show, great conversation.
That's very specific. I also want to give a shout out to a guy who has a very similar name to me who just popped in the chat. What's up, Chris? That distracted me for part of reading that.
What the hell? Not Chris McGill, it's McGill.
Right. Well, what's up, man? Great name. So, I like 2017 status basketball. Has cool rookies, Tatum, Mitchell, etc. Has numbered Kobe cards, has Dirk Nowitzki and Kobe autographs. Nice looking product. Rare parallels, you can get 1 of 1 Kaleidos and parallels and stuff. Like lots of cool product. And I think that product goes for around $150 as a hobby box. 2017, great basketball rookie class, $150, not breaking the bank. Christina and I will order up a box or 2 of that every few months because for very similar reasons.
It's a fun rip.
Because it's a fun rip. So, yeah, shout out, Chris. So, that's about, that's one little jewel that'll drop on you. And then, how about this? For next week's show, you come back and tell us one product that you found that you think is a good value, good bang for your buck hobby-wise. Because it's the list of products is not infinite. Each year, basketball has, going back to 2017, around 20 to 30 products. So take the time, look up the prices of each of those boxes, look up the contents of those boxes, and you might stumble upon your own 2017 status basketball box. And when you do stumble upon it, I do hope you come back and tell us about it. But if you don't, I understand why.
Yep, I don't have a ton of experience in this area, but the 2 that I've found success in are pivoting into football and optic. I've opened the football optic a couple times. That's a fun rip, super cheap. I think it was like $150 a box, which is kind of expensive, but in our world, that's pretty cheap. I opened like 2019 optic football, which is Kyler's rookie year, so I was looking for Kyler Silvers, and that was fun. And an older Bowman Chrome football. Brett and I opened a box of that at the hotel, if you remember that. That was a fun rip. That's all I got.
No, that was fun. Yeah. Dude,
Alamo says Optic isn't cheap anymore, so I look like an idiot already.
and yeah, it's definitely not cheap anymore. 2013, 14, and 15 Prism football. Those hobby boxes are around $300 to $400.
There you go.
Those are fun. That's a lot of fun. We got one of those from that same Dallas show, and we got a Brian Hoyer Gold rookie out of one of them, which, you know, whatever. But it was fun. So those are, and you know what those boxes have? They have potentially Tom Brady Prism Golds, Aaron Rodgers Prism Golds. You know, there's some nice cards sitting in those boxes that don't have the nutty rookie classes.
Yeah, you and I love the off rookie or
Yeah.
you know, LeBron, Brady, Luka, Jordan stuff. Another thought that came to my head was Fanatics really needs to figure this out. They need a product that's not overly expensive, that's fun to rip. I feel like that's like the most common scenario that comes up with people entering the hobby is they want something. Like, they're not, a lot of them, dude, like of the vast majority of them that at least ask me about it aren't looking to like make money when they open wax. They're not looking for like, whoa, what's the best like investment box to open, which is like obviously a silly question. It's like, which one can I not spend my entire, yeah, man, you like that? Which one can I not spend my entire like arm and a leg to open, and I just want to have fun opening boxes. That's the whole point. So like Fanatics needs to figure that out.
I want to put in a good word for Chronicles on that tip, because Chronicles products has the highest volume of cards that make me want to immediately go to eBay because I think they're valuable.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and they're often not super valuable, but like Chronicles is just loaded with cards. Like, oh, I just got, you know, this Ja Morant rookie numbered to 75 out of a Chronicles box. And I was like, I need to go look this up. And Chronicles is a low end product as well. So Chronicles is like a graveyard of retired products, and they'll have maybe 6, 8, 10 different retired products. But it's only rookies and superstars that they make cards of in those products. And then there's loads of serial numbered and rare cards.
They also do previews.
And they do previews too, which is cool.
Yeah. Like,
That's cool.
One was a preview, and now it's their own product.
I think Chronicles will be remembered fondly.
His question actually says Chronicles is bad. So like he's thinking about it from the potentially the way he's saying that is like he's thinking about it poorly from the investment side. But if we're talking about the fun, especially if he's talking about him and his son ripping, for sure. The other one that someone in the chat mentioned was Revolution. I love Revolution so much. It's a great product, and I love Galactic. I talk about that almost nonstop, and it's cheap. It reminds me of 90s nostalgia. It's like every card is shiny. Like, I just love Revolution.
When 2018 products started getting a little bit expensive, Christina and I pivoted immediately to opening Revolution and Mosaic.
Yeah.
Yes.
Those are our two go-to boxes when the other stuff got a little high.
They're all fucking shiny. That's like if you don't do anything else, just make all your cards shiny and I'll enjoy it. It's like the Mosaic base cards are shiny.
Yep.
You know, I will say I really do enjoy Don Russ, not Optic, regular Don Russ, because I like the insert game in Don Russ.
There you go.
So I like me a good Don Russ rip.
You know, I didn't see this topic becoming so fruitful, but it really did.
Yes, it was. Because I thought I suck at this topic, but you know.
Now I think everybody got a really good call out in. I'm very happy with that discussion we just had. That's a gold mine of insight on seeking out Panini product to buy.
Why don't you leave the wrap up, you know, to the I'll be the one to judge the
Next question is
No, don't even say next question. I will decide when we go to the next question. You get to just like you get your opinion out, and then you just get to sip your drink and that's it. All right. I was like, when we started this whole like we're gonna switch, I really wanted to go into this world of like I'm gonna try to act like you, and I'm gonna say your phrases, and it's too much fun. I didn't want to waste a Friday being you. You know, I wanted to like do the show the way I want to do it. This is my Friday.
Fair enough. Although I do commend the effort. I heard a couple very goods in the early goings, and
I wanted to get to at least the intro where like, we have any mail days? Let me reset the room, and like I try to get those in.
that was good. It was smooth. It was. It didn't even seem.
And I cut you off when you tried to like, hey everyone, welcome to No. Nice try. I'm surprised you haven't tried to do any of my idiosyncrasies of the, I'm not sure what I do, but.
Go to the bathroom.
I did
There
think
you go.
of getting up and leaving for a minute or two. But I did that anyway.
Especially right after like a certain question is read. It's just like conveniently it's the time where a drink has to be refilled or a bladder has to be emptied.
Right.
It's usually, when it's like, what do you guys think of Kaboom is the next, and like, I have to go to the bathroom.
That's a good bathroom break. Yeah. Well, for people who have not been watching Crossover from the beginning, it used to be on your page.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. It used to be. And for the first hour, we used to point our cameras at like the computer screen and like do a lot more, looking at images and other stuff. So
Take a break too. We used to stop the video and
we did. We did actually. That's interesting. Then
I thought of that tonight. I was like, do I have to go back to the way I used to do and I pause it and then I fuck up the saving of the video and like
No, our endurance has gotten better. Now
I haven't even taken a break yet.
there you go.
All right, let's move on. That was a really long fucking rabbit hole. Grail Card Quest. Do you own any cards where the back of the card stands out to you and adds to the overall joy of ownership? And this is my time to take a dig at Panini. And the back of the Panini cards always have the same image as the front. It's so unfortunate, but I do have an example of one. The back of the 97 Metal Universe, I love these. Like, it's a totally different pose. The way that they organize the stats is fascinating to me. They've got all the cool logos. It's got the cool serial number on the back. The colors are like completely different than the front. I don't know. Here's one example I found where I enjoy the back of this almost as much as the front. Do you have anything you thought of?
Yes. Okay, go ahead.
Oh,
Yes.
no, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say the Jordan send-offs.
Oh, that's what I was gonna say too.
Shut
Good.
up. What?
Yeah. So like Jordan inserts from 98, 99 often have specific captions that would say farewell Mike, it was good while it lasted, or great career, or like 98, 99 Lynchpins has a send-off on it, takeit2.net has a send-off on it. Those are fun card backsides. And a lot of people like the way that the 95, 96 Natural Born Thrillers insert. They like the backside of that insert a lot. A lot of people think that insert has one of the nicest backsides. So we get a question about the backside of inserts once every 3 months. Yeah. So there's somebody out there building a PC and all the cards are facing backwards and he's just focused on them.
Yeah. I think it's Larry Fitzgerald. He's the one building these backside cards.
There's a Luka rookie card in Panini that has the exhibition game score against OKC incorrect. I want to say it's Revolution, but I don't really remember.
Got it. Yeah. Sounds about right. The other thing too, in the 90s, like you actually like got utility out of statistics being on the back of a baseball or a basketball card. And nowadays there's no utility to that because you can just go to Google and look up the player statistics. So maybe there's room for innovation there in putting something on the backside of a card that you can't easily access through the internet, which now that I think about it, that's a very stupid idea because you can get anything easily on the internet.
I was going to say, we're going to put an NFT on the back of it or something? And Mark Zuckerberg likes the stats in the back, so we should keep it.
There you go. Right.
All right. The last question is going to get us in massive trouble, so let's not do that one yet. Trey Acorn 50 says, when it comes to Grail Lope, this isn't that one. when it comes to Grail low pop cards, NTs, RPAs, etc., are you interested in who also owns the card with you? And I messaged him and I asked him to clarify. He meant, I said, like, do you mean like, influencers owning that card? He just meant like anyone else that you see on Instagram that also owns that card. Does it add anything to you? Yeah, underdog cards. Stick around for the last one. I will ask it. All right, does that change anything for you if, someone else owns the card or someone that you don't like owns the card? You could take this either direction.
Yeah, it's usually only a positive effect. So if somebody that I really admire also owns this card, it enhances it enhances that card's value to my PC. But if somebody that I really don't like also owns the card, it's a minor it's a minor negative, but the negative is not nearly as big as the positive of when I have that card in common with a really great collector that I admire, especially if like that card is an important part of that great collector's collection as well. So, but there is a small sigh or a groan when I have a card that's important to my collection in common with one of the hobby's characters that I don't like.
One of my favorite little nuances of the hobby is when I own a card that maybe it's not super popular, not a lot of other people appreciate as much as I do, and then I see someone else post it, and then me and that person have a nice back and forth on like why we both have that card and how it's we both enjoy that not everyone else likes it, and we sort of build this little micro community amongst that. That's always been a fun little aspect of the hobby for me.
Yeah, I can see that. What about the other side?
Oh, dude, I'm gonna be much meaner than you. I fucking hate when I see some account. That's like pretty much why I never got into the the 86 Fleer Jordan and Topps Chrome Refractor LeBron rookie. Is it's like I see certain people owning it, I'm like, well, never owning that card again.
And would you sell a card?
Yes, absolutely. Yep, I've done that. I'll see another account I don't like that owns it. I'm like, well, selling that shit. Because either A, I'm gonna get caught in their pump and dump trap, or two, like I don't want to be associated with them in any way. Like they either it's like they got inspiration for me, or I don't want any confusion there.
Makes sense. No, I get it. I totally get it. What if it's like a really rare card that you?
Well, that's the thing. The people that I don't like don't have that rare stuff because they don't know how to get it.
Yeah, but I have this situation with one of my favorite cards.
I'm sure that I'm sure your grandma would enjoy the card. That's all that matters.
Yeah, maybe that's what I'll have to do with it. Okay.
You ready for the question that's going to get us in trouble?
Yeah, right on the dot here at midnight Central Time. So
I do have to go to the bathroom. So I'm just going to get that out there now. I have to go to the bathroom.
And it's going to hit you right after the question?
It's good. It might. South Park Card says Christina's in the clear with her Cleaver PC. She don't have to worry about that.
That's true. That's fair. You don't have to worry about having a Kleber PC item in common with somebody.
Underdog Cards is just like dying for me to ask this question.
Let's go.
You have to answer. This is the beauty of this, is that you have to answer it first.
Well, we'll see. Let's see what I got.
All right, what's worse for the hobby? SCI or people trying to pump NFTs to us? Lol, I'm just kidding, but seriously, answer it.
Oh. And there's no winners on a question like this. We're all losers, no matter which way this question goes. Usually on questions like this, I like to let the chat weigh in. I just like to see what the chat says.
Nope, you have to respond first tonight. This is the game. This is the fun part.
Oh, you have an answer? But then if you came up with an answer that quickly and you're that confident about it, you should probably not give that. You should probably save whatever it is you're about to say.
There's a different way to frame it that you could answer in a way that, like, wouldn't be that horrible. I mean, no one would be surprised with my answer. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, so like I said, here's one take on it. The thing with NFTs is that it's not the same industry. It's not the same pot. You know, NFTs is an adjacent market that's not even secretly trying to target sports card collectors and take them out of the industry and bring them into their market. And so, you know, whether it was Top Shot's targeted marketing that was telling everybody that Top Shot is the better version of sports cards, or whatever the case may be, there's actual like damage to the size of our industry that can be done if enough people in our industry are convinced that they should abandon cards and go over into JPEGs. So I think that there's an issue there. Whereas with SCI, at the end of the day, he's bringing people into the industry or making sticky content that people in the industry like. And then once they're in the industry, you know, they're free to stick with that brand of content or to move over to a different brand of content. Same thing goes for people that we bring into the industry. You know, maybe we bring people into the industry through Card Ladder and through our content that ultimately don't end up, you know, sticking with our brand of stuff. They find something else that they like better. So I'm actually going to have to say NFTs.
I think that's right.
I
I think
don't.
that's right.
Yeah, Christina's like, nice, thoughtful answer, but here we go. Write down your answer, and if I think it's readable.
Readable.
Write it in a chat, but you have my phone.
And I kept my phone, too, to keep
Yeah.
you out of that chat. Do you want to put it in the chat?
No.
Oh, but it will come from my name, so. All right, go ahead, Christina, if you must. But just know I warned you, and if you say something very rude.
What are you going to do?
Yeah. Turn around and spare play if I say something rude. How's that?
Okay, fair, fine.
Not for you. If I said something rude, it would be turn around and spare play.
Yeah, no, that I don't really know what that means.
It means someone already struck out. I get to return the favor.
Oh, I mean, yeah, you can lower yourself to somebody else's level if that's what you like to do.
It is, actually. Thank you.
Didn't work.
You tried to make that a negative, and she's like, "That's not. I like that." So yeah.
I lean into that.
Yeah.
I can't wait to get down to someone else's level. Okay. All right, go ahead.
I just want to say that with NFTs being marketed to sports card enthusiasts, at least we realize like we are valued members of a market where another market wants to poach us into theirs. And that's how I was going to frame it.
That's a good point. Nice spin. Nice spin. Hey, CJ Collectibles says, Christina, don't miss. Offlick says, set Christina free.
Free Christina.
Oh, boy. All right. Love this chat. The chat is the real star of this show. Chase says, thoughts on the twisting of Zuckerberg's past interest in cards as indication the card market will pop. You know, Chase, we touched on that at the beginning of the episode. I think it's quite overblown. And I think it's a real concern. Yeah, I agree, Ken. I think the NFT threat or the Top Shot threat to pulling away people from investing their money into our industry and going into an adjacent one is a real one, and it still exists. You know, it's worth making sure at least people know that Top Shot and other NFT based projects they're trying to jump into the wake of this collectibles boom. The sports cards was much more at the forefront of it, the vanguard of it. I think that's a story that we have to keep telling because NFT advocates would like to just ignore that. So
One, I had to run. One, I'm back. My first is that Christina is the Odell Beckham of the hobby.
oh, interesting. Do you like that?
Often misunderstood, but highly talented.
Oh, there you go.
She just needs to be freed, and she needs to be put with the right quarterback.
Yeah.
Who goes to LA?
Who goes that? Yeah, there you go. She needs to be in the Hollywood, area of the world. And two,
I just need to be freed so that I can say what I need to say, and everyone would appreciate it if I was allowed to say what I need to say.
Yeah, Christina did not say what she wanted to say. She came up with something else. She was like, "That's what I was gonna say." No, it wasn't. You had something.
No, I said that's how you frame it, bud. Rewind the tape.
All right, let's go. What's point number 2, Josh?
what happened to Top Shot? I haven't heard anyone talk about this shit at all, like in forever.
Yeah, Top Shot didn't live up to its name.
Didn't they get like $2 trillion of funding? Did they just pocket that and run? What happened?
Who didn't get $2 trillion of funding? That's just
Us. I still drive a Honda Civic, Chris, so you tell me.
Chris still drives my Honda Element, so
You have to say the orange on it. You can't say it without saying it.
Christina, look, George says Christina should do an uncensored podcast. Offlick says give Christina 5 minutes of open mic time. Now that is a scary, scary thought, especially if she could read a chat while she was going and she'd just be provoked by stuff that was being said to her.
Be provoked? Like she's like so easily provocable. Come on. Like someone's like,
oh no, you're getting an idea.
Actually, this is a fun 5-minute segment idea, and the chat has to try to provoke her.
Oh, no.
I mean, the first person who writes kaboom would probably win that.
It's like a complete barrage of 5 minutes of like provocative comments from the chat. It'll be amazing.
And then Josh being like, "You're so brave," and then I would really go off.
Chase wants 5 minutes of open mic for Christina as well.
Come over to Clubhouse, you'll get it.
I don't think. Wait, is Clubhouse still a thing? I haven't been on there in 6 months.
I haven't been on Clubhouse in a few weeks just because we've been so busy lately.
Yeah.
Is it a thing still though, for cards at least?
Yeah, there's still rooms on there.
I get notifications that people make rooms.
Yeah.
You know that thing is on Android now, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So I hear.
It's
Don't
okay.
worry. My kids have commandeered the iPad you bought us.
Well, at least it's getting some good long-term use.
It is.
I realized that they commandeered it a while ago when Baby Shark was always your Spotify song playing.
Refractor Jones says SCI has invited Christina to discuss NFTs.
I would watch the shit out of that panel. One of my favorite moments in the history of us is when, you already know what I'm going to say?
Christina's panel appearance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When she was the only one that was pushing back on all the BS.
Yeah. Yep.
Was that? Oh, it was like, it wasn't like necessarily just fractional stuff. It was like, the topic was funds. Yes, sorry, you're right.
Okay.
Funds, and you were the only one pushing back. Yep.
Yeah. Hosted by Adam.
Yes.
And we were like, why did you put Christina on this? And he was like, you'll see.
Yeah.
And I remember just like,
I remember when I told Chris and Josh that I got invited to be on this particular panel, and they both were just like, I don't know why, and it doesn't sound good.
but I remember listening to it and being like, yes, go, get him,
Yep.
go.
Yep, that was a lot of fun.
It was like the person intercepting, and it's like they're returning the pick six. It's like, go, they're at the 10, they're at the 5.
Oh boy, yeah. CJ Collectible 63. Would I recognize you by your Clubhouse name? Are you on there? Or let's get comfortable with the uncomfortable.
My whole life is uncomfortable, so I'm there.
Yeah. Was that the last question?
It was. My hands are empty. Look, I don't have any papers. We made it.
I agree, underdog. Christina is the wild card. Let her loose. God, you guys are really just egging her on, aren't you?
You gave a vinyl card?
A records collection, MJ. Yep. Is the high end its own market? Meaning what? Chase, that's another. Chase has raised two topics in the chat that we had questions on, and we talked about earlier in the show about separating high end and low end. We kind of talked about maybe even making indexes that could reflect it.
So what do you think? Should we do an index? Oh, cool. Should we do an index for sport specific high end, low end, or just like an overall high end, mid end, low end index?
I would not make it sports specific.
You just want to know, like, you want to answer the question definitively.
Yeah, and on like a hobby wide level, but it will, because that's just that provides a simpler answer, but the data would be more accurate or more fine-tuned if we did break it into categories as well.
You made a
card crosses over from low to mid and mid to high.
There's a glitch in the matrix and we all die.
You made a story post this week and you said something like how the indexes are, able to kind of disprove some of the narratives in the hobby, and like, people want to talk about, they want to say something definitively about the hobby that they think is true, but then it's like, well, actually that's completely wrong because this, index says that you're wrong.
Yeah.
Especially, that was my favorite part of the SEC. It was like, people are like, soccer's undervalued, people aren't paid. It's like the most valued thing since the freaking pandemic. It's definitely paid attention to. It's grown the most. You're wrong.
Yep. And the thing that I enjoyed the most about that little Twitter exchange that I posted was that it was not us. It was just one guy giving his point of view on the market and sort of saying, hey, look, all John Morant's cards are going down, even though he's playing well. Why is this happening? And then a different guy comes back, Adam, not Lefko, but a different Adam. He comes back and he says, well, actually, if you look at the card letter player index, John Morant's market is going up right now. And it is corresponding with his play. And then the other guy comes back and says, yeah, but, what about more specific cards? Some cards are going down. And so then Adam replies, he says, okay, so you're basically just saying your cards that you own are going down. And the guy comes back and he says, well, he says, but he says, even though, yeah, maybe you're right, Morant is up a little bit over the last few months, but he's down from 2 years ago, and he's down from his peak. And
Right.
Then Adam comes back and he says, well, yeah, but that's not what you said originally. You're moving the goalposts now. What you said originally was Morant is playing well and his market's not going up. And that's not true. The Morant market is going up, even if certain specific cards are not. So I enjoyed that exchange.
The data just gives you confidence, right? It like you can say things and stand behind it. You can point to the data versus the guy that's just sort of using his emotions to say, I'm losing money on these cards. This sucks. John Morant is overrated. He's, his prices are going down. This sucks. It's like that's an emotional statement because you're losing money when in reality, like his stuff's going up. He's performing well. He's, one of the best players. He's one of the most improved players in the NBA so far. His team is playing well. Like I could just point to this little index. It's like, and then the counter's like, well, they're not tracking, high. Actually, we've got a lot of John Morant cards and a good mix as well. We got a lot of high end, a lot of mid end, a lot of low end.
Yeah, I know. It was even I was surprised at the pretty equal distribution of like high, mid, low end stuff that we just sort of naturally accumulated into the card letter database of Morant. But the thing is too is that it gets a little bit tricky with data. And like the hobby is going to have to like learn how to wrestle with using data sets, and the fact that like general trends in data do not necessarily extend to individual cases. So you can have individual cases that buck a trend, but that get subsumed into the general data set and get glossed over. So a lot of the issues that other arenas of business and of intellectual pursuit have had to wrestle with, like how to use statistics to make points and to make arguments and to tell stories, we're going to have those same problems too. And people like sort of intuitively already grasp them. You know, like, well, you know, you could say some people have been critical of the Card Ladder 50 index ever since Luber's piece came out, because they're like, well, that's not really representing the whole hobby. That's just like nice cards that are important investment pieces and iconic cards. It's like, yeah, that's the point. On the one hand, yeah, that's the point of that index. And number two, this is not a total market index. This is an index of 50 cards. So it's purporting to represent a broader trend, but it's not. It's just these 50 cards. But by the same token, now we have category-wide indexes, but you could critique those for the opposite reason. You could say, well, this has such broad coverage that certain individual cases are getting smoothed out. And so we're going to have to learn as a community how to not throw out the baby with the bathwater. That there's still lots of good, valuable data that can be gleaned, or insights that can be gleaned from indexes, whether they're total market or snapshot style, you know, small quantity indexes like the CL50. There's still good things that we can learn from them, that we don't have to just say, oh, well, screw indexes. We should just not do indexes, or screw data. We should just close our eyes to data. That's making the mistake of, you know, trying, just because something isn't perfect, that it still can't provide some value. So we're going to have to, as a community, kind of wrestle with these things that others have wrestled with.
And the part where you and Christina can, you know, take a lot of pride in and get ready to flex your muscles is like the next phase of this is that, yes, people are starting to pay attention to the data in the industry, and they're going to start critiquing the specifics of the data. Now that like Fanatics is jumping in and some of these like bigger companies want to know, like they don't want to guess anymore. They don't want some, you know, some report or some Instagram post about people guessing at, you know, how much the market is worth or what sort of sales volume. They want actual statistics. And where I think we're going to play a big role with Card Ladder selfishly here is that we vet the sales data, and we know that it's actual good data, and we know that it correlates to specific cards, and we're not mixing prism, non-prism silvers, like things like that. We're not pulling in shield auctions. We're not, you know, misrepresenting the data, because that stuff's going to get very important here over the next few months and years as we get closer towards the Fanatic stuff. And I just think it's going to play a huge role. And I think it may not seem valuable now, and even I'm guilty of like undervaluing what the specifics of like how picky we are about the data. It will start to matter more.
Yep, I agree. And you know, that one, I really had a stick up my butt from day one about vetting the data and the data being pristine. And part of that was because immediately prior to starting Card Ladder, I had spent pretty much 7 straight years in an academic setting. So that was really important to me. And yeah, we are getting to a point where the specificity of the data matters, and not just a general trend. I think you absolutely hit the nail on the head. And we're at a point where, you know, if you're a dealer in the hobby, you can use your combination of intuition and experience and wisdom to say, I can look at the direction that the 86 Fleer Jordan is moving in, and that can sort of help me gauge where other things are moving in. And I can sort of feel my way through this and use my combination of experience and mix of data and experience, like a little bit of data, a little bit of experience, and I can guide my way and navigate the directionality of this industry. But new people coming into the hobby, or, you know, business interests coming into the hobby, institutional level interests coming into the hobby, A, they're not going to have that experience and intuition, and B, they're going to want something much more precise. And they're going to want to, and they're going to want to, you know, have quantifiable, demonstrable metrics that can suffice in the boardroom setting. and that go beyond intuition and that go beyond navigating this industry with feel. And so, yeah, we've always envisioned that day. That's why we emphasize clean vetted data from the beginning, but also all-time sales histories from the beginning, so that we're not just telling the story of the last 6 months or the last 2 years. We're telling the story going back as far as we possibly can, relying on sales data for sports cards.
Yeah, because we're going through this era right now where it's sort of influencer driven, right? And it's like the influencers are the ones generating the consensus on what the opinion should be and what sort of tastes you should have, the taste, the taste makers, for lack of a better term. But the actual deals going on behind the scenes, and you and I have seen these firsthand, is like they want the hard fucking data. They don't want the freaking people with the most followers. They don't care about that stuff. They want the white paper write-ups. They want the hard data. They want the raw data, and they want to be able to interpret it their own way. And so if you have that raw data muddied up and, it's got this flash to it of like this high follower count and all this bullshit, like that's not going to work. It's going to have to be, this is real money now. Real money's entering this hobby. And when your real money's on the line and your actual, future of the business and future of the hobby and your pride and all that's at stake, it's just got to be real.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt about it. Just to address something from the chat, because we had talked about Netflix and the new Golden Co. and Ken Golden show that's coming. And Ken is able to add a few details from the chat. The news came out about 3 months prior to when expected, due to no actions of me or my team. So I'm limited on what I can say. Okay, so this is a little bit of a premature announcement, but he can confirm it is with Netflix, and it is a series, not a documentary, and it will be available on Netflix in 2022, and he hopes to do it for the next 10 years. All positive pieces of information there. So we won't retread the topic, but just suffice it to say, this is obviously big for that.
Can you think of any other content that you are more dying to see what it is?
No, definitely not.
No. Netflix is like, I've said this many times on the show, but my favorite documentary is the Sneakerheads documentary, because it's just close enough to the mechanics of what our hobby is that I can sort of gather up the entertainment value from it and the parallels to the sports card hobby that I really enjoy watching, and I've seen it probably 5 or 6 times. But if we can get that for sports cards, I'm just going to be in heaven. I know this isn't really, it's more of a series and not a doc, but I still feel like the content is going to be entertaining, and I'm going to want to watch the hell out of it.
Yeah, and we need it, and I think our industry deserves it. I think there are niche subcultures much smaller than ours that have already been given mainstream platforms and have already been given the Hollywood treatment, and I think it's far overdue that somebody puts that type of spotlight on our industry and lets everybody in pop culture enjoy what we're able to enjoy on some level. And what's great about the hobby? The hobby is such a participant sport, if I can use that metaphor. Dude, very few, if anybody I know in this hobby is just like a passive person who's like, yeah, I'm just a fan of collectors. That doesn't exist. Everybody is a collector. Everybody is a participant, and we're all equal in that sense. We're all equals. We're all participants. We're all buyers and sellers on the marketplace. So that's something about the hobby that gets super overlooked. But when you bring in this demographic, you're bringing in some power players. You're bringing in active, motivated, interesting people that are doers and not passive types. So I don't really know where I was going with that. I kind of got fired up.
I was ready to speak as well, and I was going to say something very similar, which was what people in the public masses may see the hobby being, which is the transactional piece of it, the money, the investment piece, is very different from the actual day-to-day of it. And someone in the chat said we need a documentary on the day-to-day, not the hype shit. And I couldn't agree more, because the day-to-day of the hobby is what is so fascinating. And to your point, it's the active involvement of all the individuals and all the personalities and all the different, and the cards, the actual individual cards themselves, and the interesting eras of the cards and the history of each card set and all that stuff. And that mixed with all the personalities we have in the hobby, man, the content has not come close to what it should be, and I'm really hopeful that the Golden and the Netflix combination is going to get us closer to that.
Yeah, I think it will. And Netflix is just the premier platform to have this on. It's the right platform for the right time and the right era. So, yeah, man, it should be fun. I'm tired of waiting. Can we just have it now, or?
I want to be in this fucking thing.
Maybe.
I'll just pretend to buy a card in a private deal from Golden just so I can get in it. Is that how I do it? Is that the way?
I don't know. Maybe we need to make that trip to the East Coast and just crash the filming party.
Well, we're going to New York in a month.
We are going in less than a month.
2 weeks.
We're
2 weeks.
We're going to New York in 2 weeks.
2 weeks from today, we'll be in New York.
I think we're gonna have to take a trip down to see Ken.
Yeah, if he'll have us, if he's got the time, right?
Or you can meet us in New Haven for pizza.
That'd make a good episode.
Ken says it's a story of it's a story of people and items. That's what makes, and that's what I was talking about with the Queen's Gambit. It's more about the stories and the people, right? And I think if what Ken is saying is true, is going to be great, right? It's about the people and the stories. That's what makes great television. People don't watch television for the underlying theme of it. They watch it for the character development and the people and the stories that come along with it. So if the storytelling of the hobby on the show is going to be good, then it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I like that tagline, or I'm not sure if that's an official tagline. The story of people and items. I like that.
The people and their items. Well, an NFT isn't really an item, right? It's more of an abstract. So so there you go. It's got to be a card.
The show itself is going to be an NFT, minted on the blockchain.
Stupid. Mark Zuckerberg himself was he said it was broken. Those were his words. He said the current NFT mechanics and structure, I'm making some of these words up, but he said broken. Those were his words. Yeah, it'll get better. Well, you're basically expecting it to get better because it's currently broken.
Yeah.
Thank you. Nick got it right. The premise, that's the word I was looking for, Nick. People get drawn in to watch a show based on the premise, and they stick around for the characters. That's exactly right.
Zola makes a funny point. Mark Zuckerberg the balls to talk about things that are broken. One of my takeaways from that interview, I only watched the last 5 minutes, but Zuckerberg somehow is sympathetic in that interview. Maybe it's just because he said he likes baseball cards.
Maybe it's because Gary Vee just talks over him like he's not.
Yeah.
And it's oh wow, look, Gary Vee is shitting on Mark Zuckerberg. Yeah, that must be a sucky situation.
He did not mean to do that. I think Gary's just very excited. And he knows he has limited time with his guest. But yeah, the back and forth could have been a little more spread out.
But he definitely interrupted him more when he realized Mark Zuckerberg was not going to give in to the narrative that he wanted to push, which was that NFTs are the future of the metaverse. Once he realized that wasn't happening, the interrupting scaled up.
Yeah, I mean, Gary's got some balls to go up against the guy who owns all of our data. So,
Wait. Alt or
it's funny because it's true.
All right. What time is it? Oh shoot, it's 11:30. How do you usually end the show, or I usually like wait for you to awkwardly end it? Is that how this works?
Yes. Yep.
I refuse to end this.
Yes.
So balls in your court.
Complete the job.
Wait a second. Hold on. I had a thought. You ready for this?
I'm ready for a thought.
Do you know about the times that we ended the whole hour 3 thing? I'll tell you when it happened.
When we switch time zones.
So now that we're back to the time zone, hour 3 has made a comeback. You know I'm right.
I do know you're right. No, we're in the throes of hour 3 right now. We're halfway through hour 3 as we speak.
If this was last Friday, we would still be chugging along with the hour 2 content.
Yes, we would. Yes, we would. If this were last Friday, we would be in hour 2 right now.
One of the questions in the chat, you can end this anytime you want, but you're on bottom, so good luck. One of the comments, South Park said, what is the most overrated movie franchises? I have such an answer for this that my entire life I've thought it was overrated, and everybody hates me for it. I think Star Wars is incredibly overrated.
Okay.
At this point, yes.
Oh, well, we have a resident Star Wars expert here.
Well, I was really close to the camera.
Yeah, back off.
Star Wars is bad.
I was reading the chat
She's
because
trying to-
I was trying to sneak in.
She's
and
trying
read
to
the
make her
chat.
voice really loud. So it's
In
just
Star Wars,
I don't need to make my voice loud by being
Right.
close.
talk,
Yes.
Zane, you meant Star Wars, didn't you? Zane meant Star Wars. That's what he wanted me to say.
show off your Star Wars knowledge.
It's definitely Star Wars.
Tell me why.
Tell me you why? Okay, so the first 3, you have like a decent story, right? Like hero, villain is dad, whatever. That wasn't, obvious with the whole Vader. Like whatever. Vader in German literally means father. But so
Dark Father.
So, like, it's decent, but then they ruined it with the prequels when we were, like, kids, or, like, yeah. And then when we were in college, they came out with the new ones, and it was just, like, the same story. Like, they didn't even try to make it interesting. Like, they literally just took a girl who wasn't really sure, like, where she fit in the world, or like who she was, what her family was, why she was left behind, and just like put her in Luke's position and let everything go right for her. Like she never faced like a situation that she couldn't figure out. She knew how to fly like immediately, and like she knew like, oh, like the Millennium Falcon, like, oh, it like you have to like do this and like you have to hit this, and she just knew how to freaking fly it like from moment 1. Like it was great. So like it was just bad on that, and like I was not really happy because I was a huge Star Wars fan of the 70s versions, like the original, the only Star Wars. And then you had Jar Jar Binks, which was like awful. And then you had this new Disney like side version, which you kind of had to like as a girl, you had to like because they put a girl in the like as the main character, as the heroine, but then you hated it because it was literally just a retelling of the story. She didn't have her own story.
The side movies I thought were more enjoyable. I don't remember the names of them, but I thought those were more enjoyable than the main plot line because, to your point, like they made new stories.
Yeah. I will be honest, I only saw Rogue One.
Yeah, that one was a good movie. I liked that movie.
I liked that one. I also liked the end, which is like really depressing, but it was real. Like it was like it wasn't just like wrapped in a bow and ended perfectly, right? Like it had like real moments where you were like, oh shit, like everything doesn't work out.
Yeah. I never liked Star Wars, so like but I knew it was super popular and I knew everyone loved it, so I just sort of like, I just sort of didn't talk about it. But then when all the big fans like yourself who would tell me that like they hated 2/3 of the movies, I'm like, you guys love Star Wars but you hate 2/3 of the movie? How is it good?
because it's not, the franchise is different from the movies, and like to me, there are only 3 Star Wars movies, and it's episode 4, 5, and 6. The original 70s versions are Star Wars. Everything that's come out now is like bastardization of like what made it good. And there was a lot of undertoned like religious themes in the original Star Wars, like the Force, and like you have to believe in the Force, you can't see it, like you have a force within you, and like the Force is like the universe as well. Like there was a lot of great things like and like sub morals like woven through George Lucas's original.
Read George's comments.
George says the first 3 are vintage cards, the prequels are 90s junk wax, and the new ones are modern day cards with all parallel cards.
That's so good.
That's great.
People in the chat said that Transformers sucks and Fast and Furious is overrated. I haven't really watched either of those.
I haven't watched like the last like 4, but I really liked that series. It was what it was. It wasn't trying to be anything else. It was fast cars and like trying to get away with shit.
I like Fast and Furious. It's exactly what you said. Like, they're like, people like us for this, so let's just fucking keep doing. Let's even go harder at it. Let's get The Rock. Let's just like get all these cheesy actors and let's just go for it.
Hey, Jason Statham is not a cheesy actor, okay?
Jason Statham's in Fast and Furious?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought they just had Vin Diesel.
Dude, they tripled down. They're like, let's get all of them. Like all the guys from what's that one movie where they just get all the cheesy muscle actors?
The Dependables or something?
Expendables.
The Dependables.
Like, let's just get all those guys and fucking make them drive fast, and that'll be us.
We might need to get Stiff Arm Wax to join the stream so he can give some movie expertise as well.
All right, best movie franchise.
Stiff Arm Wax is probably like screaming at me right now because after we saw the first new Star Wars together when we were in college, and the 2 of us had like a 3-hour debate in our kitchen, like Nick and I, about like why it was good, and I was saying that, and he was saying why it was bad. And like I just like kept doubling down of like, it's good to see a girl in this role. Like it's good to see a girl in this role. And he was just like, yeah. Nick literally walked out of the theater during the Star Wars.
Ooh, that's when you know.
Yeah, that's when you know. But
all right, best movie franchise.
Best movie franchise. Oof, that's difficult.
I'll throw one out.
Okay.
I love Lord of the Rings. I love Lord of the Rings.
I love Lord of the Rings. The only problem I have with Lord of the Rings is they have huge plot holes that like the books cover that the movies don't.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Wild Men, completely erased from the movies, had a huge pivotal role in the books.
Batman?
No, the Batmans were cheesy until
the Dark Knight series though.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, see, Nick and I.
The problem with Godfather is 3. 3 ruins the series of Godfather. So like 1 and 2 are amazing, and then 3 is just like 3 is basically what the new Star Wars are. 3 is bad.
Is it bad that I don't like any movie before like 1995?
Nope.
Yes.
Nope, that's not bad at all.
Chris, you know what I'm talking about, right?
Oh yeah, big time,
dude.
Nick
like
Dark Knight Rises is kind of whack.
No, I love Dark Knight Rises because the guy's voice is so dope.
Dark Knight Rises? Oh, but that's not the Dark Knight. He's talking about.
Yes, it is.
The third.
No, I know, but those 3 movies together are considered like the Dark Knight series of Batman.
Yeah, they're all good.
Dark Knight especially because the Joker is amazing, but James Bond?
Can I tell you, Zane's gonna get so mad. I've never seen a James Bond movie.
Really?
I've never seen a James Bond movie.
Wow.
Yeah.
Girl.
I've seen like 5 or 6 of them. You know what? Oh, I know. Jackie Chan. Is that a franchise? I wish it was, but like Jackie Chan movies are awesome.
You can say like Rush Hour is a franchise.
No, that's lame. That's like his work. He does like Jackie Chan is the man. His movies are so good. His like older ones.
Mission Impossible, like I've never seen any except the original. I liked the original. How do you feel about The Matrix?
I only like the first one. The other two were just like very confusing. The first one was amazing.
Chris made me watch the first one for the first time once. I saw the second one. I was really sick when the second one came out on DVD, like a really high fever, and my brother had to come over and like hang out with me because I was so sick, and my mom had to go to work, and he brought over The Matrix 2, and I remember like being kind of delusional because like my fever was so high and being like, what the fuck is this? So I don't really remember that. And then Chris made me watch the first one, and I liked the first one.
How can you not like the first one? It's like
First one is so good. It's just like, I mean, we're basically like, that has like spawned so many internet theories and stuff of like, are we in the Matrix? It's just like, it's so like, all right, sports movie?
Someone just said, don't sleep on Toy Story.
I love Toy Story. All of those are so good.
Yeah.
Don't sleep on Hallmark movies.
Home Alone?
Home Alone is a good one. Except they're remaking it. Have you seen that preview?
No.
They're remaking it with like a British family, same concept, same everything, but a British family. And I'm like, what about my Midwestern accent? Don't you know?
I love Home Alone 2 in New York is so good.
Yes.
That's a good one because it's like they just ramp it up.
Here's a plot twist. A non-Macaulay Culkin brother is now like a big star in this Succession TV show.
Dude, have you guys watched Succession yet?
No.
Dude, it's so fucking good. It's amazing.
All signs.
It's the best show on television.
Very good.
It's the best show on TV right now. And he's the best. He's one of the best parts of the show. Is his brother is so good.
Yeah. So I hear.
It's the best show on TV right now. It's not a debate.
And it's got like 4 or 5 seasons under its belt, right?
No, they're in season 3 right now.
3.
Did you ever see what was it? Yellowstone? We watched the first like 2 or 3
I think that's good.
It was good.
It was okay. I kind of.
You zoned out after a while.
Yeah.
You'll like Succession. Both of you will.
Okay.
It's like Game of Thrones, but like modern business.
Wow.
So it's like very much like people are trying to get in power, but he's right. Macaulay Culkin's brother, Kieran Culkin, is so good. His character is so good.
Dexter. Oh, go ahead.
You start the show because you're like, oh, this is interesting. It's like, who's going to take over the family business? And then you get 100% drawn into the characters and all of their little stories, individual stories of the characters. And you're just like, you can't even walk away from it.
That sounds good. We got a new.
Yeah, we never watched Silicon Valley either.
Yeah.
That one's harder to get through. It's long.
Yeah, so Dexter was something we watched. I did not like how Dexter ended though.
I like Dexter.
And now Dexter's coming back.
I like Dexter too. It's like kind of cheesy, but it's pretty good.
Yeah.
I liked it. I just didn't like the last 2 episodes.
Yeah. There's massive plot holes in Dexter too, by the way.
Yeah.
There's scenes where
the forensics was really bad in Dexter.
Yeah. There's scenes where guys walk past each other and miss the whole. It's just what? How did you not see it? It was in writing on the. He wrote in blood on the wall. How did you not see it? There's total misses like that.
Yeah, I have a problem with thriller crime shows and things because I always just am Josh did it like in the first like 5 minutes of the show.
Chris was
And then
telling me
it's
about that the other day.
And then it's like, okay, like now I'm just waiting for like the characters to realize like that's the killer.
Ozark. Did you watch Ozark? Did you guys watch that?
Yeah.
We have watched Ozark. That's a good one.
Waiting on the new season.
Yep.
I hate waiting on new season.
So annoying.
That one. That's the one. That is the one show where there's not really any plot holes. Like it's very like intelligent, and they've done a nice job with it. Like I haven't really had any complaints. Breaking Bad though, Chase, you're right. Breaking Bad is the one, like, to me, Breaking Bad is the one show where it's just so tight. Like there's nothing that you can really criticize about it. It's so good. Everyone loves it. Have you guys seen that?
Yeah, I like it. I liked it a lot.
I watched like the first 5 minutes of the like opening episode, and I was just like, this isn't the right show for me, and I just never.
Oh no, it's the best drama of all time.
Like literally, he was still recording outside
In
the RV.
his underwear.
Like, yeah,
Yeah.
this is not the show for me. I'm good.
It is though. You watched the whole show, Chris?
Yep, I have. We were watching it while it was finishing too. Like we were in that.
Yep.
Yeah, like that last season 5. I remember waiting for those new episodes to come out.
Same. That is I think it's pretty much seen as like the most well-written show of all time in the drama series, because they just like tie up all the loose ends. They don't leave any plot holes. Like the character development is strong. You get sucked into the storylines. It's very good.
I like Sons of Anarchy. They had
I've heard that.
and they tried to tie it up too neatly, where like it wasn't neat. Like it was like Dexter. Like they were just trying to like end it in a way that like ended it, and it just made me mad.
Parks and Rec did the best job of tying it up for comedy.
That was a good one.
Even better than Office. They did a better job than Office, I thought.
Well, yeah, I think it's easier when like you like fast forward, right?
Yeah, that's true. Our chat is just dropping all the shows. Curb Your Enthusiasm? I haven't seen that show yet.
No, me neither.
Yeah. Breaking Bad making the main character a bad guy was great.
What's that called? The anti-hero or?
Yeah.
Antagonist.
Yeah.
Always Sunny in Philly. I haven't seen that show. Have you guys?
I've seen episodes on like FX, but I've never seen it like in proper order.
The League. Did you guys watch that?
We started it.
We only got like a couple episodes in.
We didn't have the proper appreciation of fantasy football.
It's a really long show. And you kind of have to like, I don't know though, they get away from fantasy football pretty quick. Like the first few episodes, they definitely like start with fantasy football, but then they just sort of like stray away from it and make it about the comedy.
Okay.
Caden says that Boss with Kelsey Grammer was twisted Chicago political corruption that was eerily similar to real life. We should probably look into that.
I vaguely remember that show. I like Kelsey Grammer. You know why?
Yeah.
Frasier. That's the one character I do know. Shaw Card says, do you know when Ken's Netflix show is coming out? Ken just said 2022. That's all he said. Oh, man. I'm so ready for this New Haven pizza.
That we're going to share with Ken.
Is it weird that my favorite part of the trip is going to be the pizza?
No. Portnoy himself said that it's worth traveling across country for by itself. Did he not?
He said, so it's the 9. Okay, so here we go. 9 and over means you can fly and eat the pizza. Or no, I think he says 8.5 and over is you fly for it. 8 and over is you drive like across town or to another town to get the pizza. And 7 and over is like, yeah, it's a place that you'll eat at as a regular spot in your city. So there's 3 in New Haven that are worth flying for, he says.
Wow.
Pepe's, Sally's, and Modern.
All 8.5 and over fly worthy. And it got to a point where he reviewed some like random spot in New Haven and he was like, it's going to start with an 8. because it's New Haven. And he's like, I don't even know. It's like, he was like, it's basically an 8 before I even take this bite, you know?
It's true.
Uh-oh, Nick, did you see what Nick just said?
Yeah, he thinks that like Papa John's is like the best pizza. Okay, like
No,
Oh, the McGill brothers are such idiots. Chris was like, I basically can't tell the difference between Pizza Hut and New Haven Pizza.
That's not true, because when he was eating it, like when we got it, he was just like, "Wow, this is really good pizza."
I know, but it's like, just even the way you just said it right there, I'm like, yeah, but you're just not getting it.
But the shape of it is a little off-putting. Can we all just?
It's not factory made; it's hand tossed.
But can we just talk about the shape?
He was like, they cut the pizza weird. Like, who gives a shit?
They cut the pizza weird is like it's not perfect angles, like, and
Because they don't use a machine to cut it.
Yeah, because they literally like are pulling like pizzas out of the oven like one after another, and the guy, like, literally one guy picks it up out of the oven, throws it on the counter, and the other guy is there, and he just goes like this to cut it, and they box it up, and they like put it like, and that's why.
So, you could tell the difference between that pizza and Papa John's, right? When you ate it.
Of course.
Well, no, like for real. Like he ate the pizza and he was like, yeah, okay, fine, it's better.
Yeah.
All right,
of course.
pop quiz for the pizza experts only. Is this Papa John's pizza?
No, god damn it, you fucking shit stain. That's Sally's, dude. I can tell.
He knows. He hasn't even been there, and he knows.
It was Sally's. That's
It
right.
was
I
Sally's.
know it was because I've studied the pizza. You shit stain.
No, we're
Get
gonna.
your head in frame.
Sorry.
Come here a little bit.
We're going to all 3
Yes, we are.
pizza places, and if we have time, we'll go to bar. But that's
should
not
get-
really anything great.
We should get enough, like one pizza from each, where all of us
Yeah.
like
we're
get
going.
the right amount to be full, but we're not like. It's enough for all of us to eat enough of all of them.
When was the last time Nick had New Haven pizza? It was a long time ago.
I never had a New Haven pizza with Nick.
Your taste buds.
I'm going to Bleecker.
7 days.
We're also going to John's at Bleecker, for sure.
We're also what?
John's at Bleecker is the other. So, okay. So Portnoy ranks his top 2 of all time, tied for the lead, are Sally's and John's of Bleecker, which is in the area of where we're going. So we have to try John's of Bleecker and the New Haven ones.
Wow.
Okay.
Yes. I know, Nick. John's
it's
of
like
Bleecker.
right near Bleecker then, so we could
It is.
do it Monday. Perfect.
It's like a pizza tour is really what this is.
Yeah, I've masked it in, what you think it's going to be, but it's really just me wanting to try all these pizza spots, and it's an excuse for me to eat it. My wife is like, how many times, aren't you ever sick of it? I'm like, no, if you made pizza every day, I probably wouldn't even say anything.
So it's really funny because, like in my family, like getting pizza was like a treat. Like it wasn't like, oh, we're not gonna, like, I don't want to make dinner, let's just order pizza. It was like, no, like it was like twice a year basically. It was like, okay, like we're going to have pizza, and it would always be from like Modern or Sally's. Like we never got Pepe's to go, but and then you would bring it home and you would just like eat it for the next 2 days.
Yeah, that's good though, because it's kind of built you up to think of it that way. That's good.
Yeah.
Or otherwise, you're just a fucking Papa John's, like, what's his face over there?
The first time I had
How did I
donuts-
become the poster boy for Papa John's? I'm just a guy.
Because you said something on one of these shows where you were like, I don't know what you said, but it was something to the effect of like, what's the difference?
It was also like you also said like, why can't they cut it perfectly like Papa
Yeah.
John's or something?
Oh, look, the aesthetics.
Yeah,
All right.
that's true. What Nick says in the chat is true.
What do you say?
You have to place your order with your real name in
See,
New Haven.
Chase knows what I'm saying. The edges and the corners are not grading out well on that.
No, but like, do you also order it well done, like Portnoy? He always orders his pizza well done.
So
What?
it depends where you are. Okay, so like if you go to Sally's, you really don't need to order it well done.
What is this, a steak or something?
No.
Yeah, well, they just cook it longer. It's
Yeah,
crispier.
it means they cook it longer.
They want a little charcoal flavor.
It already tastes like charcoal because it's being cooked on a like 100-year-old oven that never gets cleaned. Okay, let me tell you right quick. When my little brother was in school, I like chaperoned a field trip for him because like there's a big age difference. But anyway, so I chaperoned a field trip and it was 2 Pepis at a public school. Like that's how serious we take pizza in New Haven. Like you literally learn about the history of New Haven pizza on a school field trip.
That's because New Haven has nothing else.
Okay. Like New Haven was founded in like 16 something. It's one of the oldest cities and it's the first city laid out on a grid.
Yeah, and after
Like,
400 years, they produced a pizza.
I can't. I just can't sometimes.
Where's he from? Where's this kid from?
He's from Roscoe, Illinois.
Yeah, like, I don't even,
We're a very small town. So you can
these McGills, I don't know, man.
Shout out to Chris Muggill for creeping in.
Are you so Chris, are you from Irish descent then?
I'm from a very mixed descent, but Irish is in the mud.
Because my mom's maiden name is McFarlane.
Oh, there you go.
We got some mix in the house.
Definitely got some mix in the house. We all would know what to do with a potato. I think we can all agree on that.
Yep, we would eat
That's
it.
what that means.
It means our people once suffered without potatoes for a long time. We appreciate it.
I was like, we would turn them into French fries. We would do the In-N-Out thing where you just like, zip.
You have to learn about the potato famines.
In-N-Out is overrated, by the way.
Ooh, there's a
I don't agree.
Yep.
I do not
Christina
agree.
would wait in line for an hour at In-N-Out when we lived in LA.
Not an hour.
What?
30 minutes.
Oh.
30 minutes just to get up to the drive-thru.
Yeah, there you go.
It's a good burger, but overrated.
Oh, stiff with the hot take.
Yeah.
I would literally rather go to McDonald's than In-N-Out.
What? At least
Yeah.
In-N-Out is like, you feel like you're actually eating food.
Yeah. McDonald's fries are so good.
Oh, look at Garrett. Come to Louisville and we can do some bourbon tours. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
All right, when are
I
we
would-
planning that trip?
In-N-Out turns cold. Chick-fil-A. I like Chick-fil-A better than all of these places. Not the pizza, but like the McDonald's and the In-N-Out. Chick-fil-A is better. Nick says, Christina knows I hate In-N-Out. That cheese is horrible.
Yeah. You don't have to get cheese on your burger, bud. I found out recently, George told me this after posting a picture, you get pickles on your In-N-Out burger. It's part of the secret menu. I had no idea my whole life. Never knew.
Carvin says, Chipotle. Let's stop everything. My favorite non-pizza restaurant in the world.
We've had
Do you guys know Pele?
Yeah, we've had it a few times in the last week.
No.
Oh, that's my language.
What do you mean? We just had it like twice this week.
No, we had it once last week and once this week. They just happened to be like 5 days apart from each other.
You guys get there.
Burritos. I get a bowl. He gets burrito.
Chicken, steak, come on.
Oh, I didn't know you want our whole freaking order. You get
No, just the meat.
chicken. I get I don't know how to say it. Barbacoa.
What is
You guys tried the brisket?
I have tried the brisket. I
It's
thought it
very
was
good. I asked one of the ladies that was making my food, I was like, how much longer is the brisket going to be around? And she was like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, it says right here, limited time only. When is it going to end? She was like, I have no idea. I'm like, what the fuck? My Chipotle people,
How does
you guys are like the artistes of making my burrito. You need to know this shit.
I mean, yeah, well, how do they not know corporate strategy? You know?
I was like, what the fuck? I put so much faith in you guys to roll my burrito the right way that you don't even know. This is bullshit.
So Garrett, I know what you're talking about with the bourbon game. When Chris and I graduated from college, my aunt threw me a graduation party that Chris then co-opted at my family's graduation party. And then at the end of the night, she pulled out like all of her very nice bourbon, and she was doing a taste test for her and her friend who like stayed, and Chris. So Chris got to enjoy all of the bourbon. Yeah.
Isn't Louisiana like the hot chicken thing? Isn't that a thing? Like the spicy chicken sandwich kind of thing?
I don't know, but we're talking about Louisville. That's in Kentucky.
My bad.
You're fine.
Yeah,
All right.
Louisiana's got food too.
I have to go. I'm gonna bounce.
Wow, look at that.
Okay.
We finally win one.
We win.
I'm just really drunk and tired.
Stumbling to bed.
You joke, but I do.
All right, see you, buddy. Make sure to save this stream, please.
Oh yes, I will. See you guys.
See you, man.
Card Ladder, the best sports card app on the market. The future of sports cards is here. Card Ladder is the 21st century price guide and market analysis tool for sports cards. The best tools to help you track your cards. Watch the trends, stay informed, compare cards, and track the growth of your personal collection, all in one simple and intuitive platform. Join the innovators, not the imitators. The future is here. The future is now. Card Ladder.